before, just so I can make the idea across, because English is not my first language. I'm sorry. I try to be as concise as possible, but
you have a better vocabulary than me. You always say English is your first language, then I'm looking up words you're saying. I'm like, oh yeah,
I would not have guessed.
You sound great. Don't worry about that.
So, Vigilante, what you spoke, with all sincerity, isn't even close to what the implementation of what you would call globalism is, particularly in matters like the implementation of human rights or the implementation of the failed war on drugs in the last 60 years, international treaties, etc. But I'm just going to make you a simple question that should be simple if you've really dealt into this whole aspect. How does international law become a jurisdictional binding within a sovereign country through the constitutional means? How does it? How is that implemented in the constitutional republics?
Yeah, so I can understand what you mean by like a jurisdictional question. That's kind of why I wanted to focus on like how America is set up, because when I'm talking about like using a federalist system, the best way to demonstrate it is referring back to America. So the way that it works in America, where it's federal law versus state law, is everywhere is technically federal jurisdiction. And if you violate federal law, but you don't necessarily violate state law, you are able to be prosecuted by the federal government. Whereas if you violate both federal and state law, it is kind of deferred to the states.
I'm sorry to tell you, Vigilante, you have no idea what you are speaking on and in regards. The standardization of international law to become a enforceable and binding law within a sovereign nation in constitutional republics is via the ratification of that international law in the legislative sense. That is standardized from Canada down to Argentina, no question about it. In the U.S. Constitution, it's Article 2. Article 2, Article 2, point 2 of your Constitution that establishes. In fact, if you read the Federalist Papers, if I'm not incorrect, somebody will have to correct me on that. I'm bringing this out of memory. Should be around Federalist Paper 15 or 14, if I'm not incorrect, where the discussion was had of how international law is implemented through a constitutional means.
But Ditso, can I
standardized?
Can I
was answering the jurisdictional question part of that.
Yeah,
I wasn't necessarily.
Well, unfortunately, the answer was not either adequate or correct in that sense. So, for example, when a treaty, a trade agreement is done, okay, between one or multi countries. Let's just say one to two to more countries. They would say, okay, we want to make that trade happen and be enforceable in each of our countries. The only way that happens if that agreement of the executive goes through the legislative, and the legislative through the process then ratifies it. And that becomes codified internally into the country. Then it has a principle that is called the supraconstitutionality. And that is implemented mainly in the human rights. So when you were saying all those ideas that you were having, without understanding how it is that international law is implemented today in the constitutional republics, in modern day constitutional republics, it just told me that, sure, you're speaking on ideas that are not well defined, nor are they well understood as to how they are done today.
Yeah, so I think I know where the disconnect is. You're talking about how it does work versus how, and I'm talking about how I think it should work.
Right. If I could,
That-
not that you need me to defend you here, Vigilante, but I think you're acknowledging the system that you're invoking would shatter many individual countries' constitutions. For example, our Constitution says that without an amendment, you have a First Amendment right to free speech. However, you would say that that's superseded by the global government that would come along if it decided to go against what the precepts of our Constitution suggested. So that would also be intuitive when it comes to current national and international law, when it comes to the ratification of different things like, treaties, constitutional norms, etc. So you're making a claim that's like there are inherent barriers in your current law that would mean that you wouldn't be able to willfully sign over sort of this sort of authority to an international body. But his claim is like, right, change that.
Okay, so I understand the should have, but I deal with what is, not what should in this sense, or what has continuously been in that. For
This
example,
debate is about what does exist, like what should exist. This is an ought-based debate. This isn't like a.
Yeah,
This,
this is a theoretical.
this is This isn't a fact-based debate. This is a what should happen, what should occur.
okay, so let me just say in this sense that the ought argument was flawed from the beginning, in every sense
Why?
of the word.
Why?
Because at the end, if you do not recognize the necessity and the reality of sovereignty and the implementation of that sovereignty in the jurisdictional sense, then it becomes a pipe dream because you have no way of enforcement. Therefore, I would ascribe Rob at least one, the ought claim of it should not happen in that particular way. Because at the end, it creates a whole series of problems that end up in violence, like Rob established.
Yeah, I mean, if the country of Venezuela has their own individual constitution, and you and the people of Venezuela say, yes, we very much like this, and the international body comes in and says, no, that no longer applies because without your will, we have accepted you into the one global government, and now a bunch of the things that are outlined in your constitution no longer apply. Yeah, that would piss me off. And that's exactly the point I'm making with sort of what happens if you have this global government. There are going to be things outlined in there. I don't know what the Venezuelan Constitution says, but let's say hypothetically the Venezuelan Constitution says,
I do know.
wow, that's great. I'm glad. But let's say hypothetically it doesn't have a right to free speech in there, right?
It does, but anyhow.
What's that? Does it?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So what if all of a sudden the global government says, no, you no longer have that? I would be pissed off if I was a Venezuelan citizen. I would say, fuck that. That's ridiculous. And so who are you to say that because you feel that you're more cultured or wiser than me, that I have to abide by international law from people who I'll never meet? This is the problem. We already see this with the EU. Like so many people, they are beholden to laws made in Brussels that they've never got a chance to vote on. It doesn't even matter if you think those laws are good. Imagine being a fisherman in the UK and all of a sudden you're told, nope, you can't fish for that particular type of fish anymore because Brussels has ruled it so. And you say, but no one in my government voted for that. Doesn't matter.
Well, can I ask you something? In your criteria, you would consider then the Nuremberg trials to be a failed experiment, that it should not have happened?
No, not necessarily.
What?
That's a big leap.
No. It's not. It's
That's why I
think
planted the question. I'm not saying that you're saying that. I'm just asking you.
So,
No.
So
my problem with like the current way that the world courts work is that it requires either force by a opposing government to be used like effectively, or it requires willing participation, which makes it effectively useless.
are you aware of the case of Artavian and others versus Costa Rica versus, for example, what has happened in the settlement of West Bank and the decision of the ICJ? Do you know how those two cases showcase how, and to answer a question that was asked, how do we enforce, for example, human rights and the human rights violations internally in our countries to those international courts?
Yeah, so I'll stick with the ICJ and like the settlements in Israel issue because I know that I'm more familiar with that one. Basically, what I think should be the case is Interpol should be able to go into Israel and fucking arrest Bibi Netanyahu and prosecute him for war crimes. And they can't currently do that because the Interpol and the International Criminal Court and the ICC are basically fucking useless with the way that it's currently set up.
That's because Israel did not ratify the ICJ. Therefore, they have no. Let me tell you, how do you resolve the problem of conflict internally and both externally? One, the people are the ones who are the main line of enforcement. That means when your governments are violating your own human rights, then it's your own people that have to go through the courts to reach then an international court, like the case of Artavia and others versus Costa Rica in the case of in vitro fertilization. In the case of Israel, when you have two nations conflicting on each other, then you have no internal jurisdiction that can resolve those problems, and immediately would have to be taken into that arbitration concept. That's the same thing that happens in the trading world.
If I may say, because I do have to get going, so let me say this, maybe this will give you some red meat to yell at each other about. Like, at the end of the day, there's certainly a difference when it comes to international court agreements, etc., versus the idea of globalism, of a one world global government. And so I think that this is apples to oranges. But to the extent, fuck these international rules and orders. That's my opinion on it. The United States is the strongest nation in the world, and we shouldn't have to listen to a bunch of countries tell us things like, well, you have to accept all of these people under refugee statutes that are clear bullshit. I'm watching the UK as we speak basically commit seppuku because they're trying to bring in a bunch of people from the third world that's displacing the people that are native to that country. We do not have to accept that here in the United States, regardless if The Hague tells us we have to or not. Fuck it.
Sure, Rob. But why should we pay attention to you and the United States telling us how to conduct our businesses?
Don't.
We can tell the same way, fuck you,
Right.
fuck your principles, and
wouldn't that be the
stay in your
opposite
home.
of globalism?
Don't, for example,
You have the
don't
right
fuck
to
us
do that.
around with a war
Isn't that how
clause.
it is?
So-
I mean, generally, people who are more pro MAGA or more pro Trump are not going to be super pro. Well, barring Israel, aren't going to because a lot of pro MAGA people really like Israel aren't going to support America involvement in all this shit. Like
Right.
I've heard a very large number of modern Republicans will join libertarians in shitting all over the CIA and all the shit that they did in Latin America.
Yep.
So
By
I'm just
By the
gonna-
way, just let's Ditso confuse you here. Ditso actually supported NATO's intervention into Libya. Right? We had a discussion about this. So think of how heinous this action is. Barack Obama and his NATO cronies decide that they're going to support radical Islamic terrorists going against Gaddafi because, Gaddafi's a bad dude. So when Gaddafi's basically pleading to the world, look, these aren't my citizens that are uprising. These are Islamic terrorists from outside the country that are being funded by NATO to help take over this country. And that's exactly what happened.
No.
My
That's
position
that's
is,
a lie,
let me,
Rob.
real quick,
That's a lie. Don't put words in my mouth.
let me finish my point real quick, and then you could clarify or say that I'm lying if you need to. My point is, I'm not for disrupting Libya in the first place, and then the very left-wing people that were for that policy that now say, oh, look at that, we disrupted the people of Libya, now we owe them. No, you owe them. You're the people that voted for that shit. You're the people that wanted it. Same as Syria, same as Afghanistan, right? It's all of these places. Ditso, you go ahead, you explain. You defended that action by NATO. I heard you do it.
No. Let's put it very simple. Your initial argument falls on its head because at the end it's reciprocal. You as a U.S. citizen or a country that, sure, you can self-perceived best country in the world, yada, 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 all that defaultism that you love to do is meaningless on the more broader conversation that we're having. Now, you said in regards to Libya, you know that very well. 14 years ago, what happened there was an uprising against the dictatorship of Gaddafi, of its own people, and that they were, you denied, but those are the facts.
It's not the facts. There was a color revolution and outside Islamic
Okay,
terrorists that
so
were
you
funded.
love to defend a dictator. Fine. All right, great. Look,
Please!
if we
You're
go
the
into
same. Is this George W. Bush there? Oh, you're pro Saddam if you're against the Iraq War? You're defending
No.
a dictator? Come on, dude. This
Dude.
is the exact same narrative that justifies the CIA coming into countries like yours and fucking it
No,
up.
no.
Oh, so you're pro dictator in
It is.
Venezuela?
Again,
Please.
in this sense, your
I, for
problem is
one, I
you
think
either-
that
you
it was
either-
justified to do 200 failed assassination attempts on Castro. Every single one of those was justified. And if you disagree with me, you support communism. If you don't support the CIA trying to put dynamite in his cigars,
Yep.
you support communism.
Trudeau
Well,
disagrees.
let me
but
ask
don't hurt
you
his
this.
dad. Yep.
Under
Oh,
your worldview, what should be the role of the United States? Should you, as a country, be isolated and not mess with other people's issues?
I believe.
Yes.
Go
As
ahead.
much as we can. Yeah.
The United
Or-
States should
No.
be. The United States, there are moral arguments to make and practical arguments to make that the United States should operate as the world police. However, that would be contingent on the following two factors. One, that you have benevolent, and second, competent people that are running the show. We have neither. Every time the United States seems to get involved in direct military intervention in countries around the world, it seems that we make the situation worse. So I think that the role of the United States should be to be looking out for their own people first and foremost. When it comes to an international rule, what it should do is be seeking, like Donald Trump said in his speech in, where was he? The Rada, or whatever, I can't remember where he was. Riyadh, where he gave this speech. It was like, look, we're no longer going to try to judge you for moral things you do in your country. We're looking for good business deals. I'd like to see the United States trade with as many people as possible, to have favorable economic relationships with as many countries as possible, while at the same time being there to offer cultural, political, and economic support for achieving peaceful resolution of conflicts. However, the United States should no longer be arming people. It should no longer be encouraging color revolutions through its intel agencies, including in places like Libya, which it's unbelievable to me as someone who recognizes how bad the CIA was in Latin America and in South America with color revolutions and things, that you buy exactly the same thing, hook, line, and sinker, when it comes to a country in Africa. So in my opinion, the role of the United States should be far less interventionism at this point.
Okay, so let me explain you my worldview in this sense. One, the relation between sovereignty and the relation between each sovereignty has to be done in a cooperative sense. So you and I are very aligned in that sense. We should work towards cooperation, not interventionism. But that means that we also have to recognize that the interactions, and especially today in modern day area, and the impacts of those interactions economically, politically, socially, are intertwined with each other's necessities. So the idea of a best country in the world, or the idea of my moral, either Islamic, Christian, or whatever, is better to be imposed over everybody, is a flawed approach.
You may think so, but I think on this specific, I unfortunately have to leave. I'll say this again. You said that I was incorrect about the conflict in Libya, and yet, or your stance on it, and yet all you did was reframe it and continue to do what I said, which was you defended it. My point is, I have to go after this. I'm so sorry. Right? My point is this. Right? Like, I understand from the perspective of not being a U.S. citizen, it is entirely reasonable for you to adopt the position. We don't give a shit. You think you're the best. We think we're the best. Great. That's life. Everybody should think that their own country's the best and advocate for it. I'm all for that. What I'm trying to do is less offensive than the people that you seem to want to cozy up to. I'm saying that the United States should stop interfering in these matters around the world, but also that means that we shouldn't be able to say that we're on the hook financially or through open borders to accept the problems of the world. What I find despicable is the people in this country that vote for these policies through our intel agencies that exacerbate problems around the world, and then turn around and say, oh, and look at that. Now we get exactly what we want, which is we have to have open borders and bring in all these people because we voted for policies that cause corruption there. You can see it in Ukraine. You can see it in Libya. You can see it in Syria, and the beat goes on. So Speakeasy, thank you so much. Vigilante, I will DM you, man. I'd be happy to talk again, Vigilante. It was a lot of fun. Everyone else, I'm so sorry, but I have to get to bed tonight, and I have a bunch of super chats to
I
read.
hope you rest.
Good to see you.
No worries. Everyone, go sub up to Rob Noor. All right. Thank you so much for joining tonight, and I look forward to more to come.
My pleasure, man.
Rob.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you.
Buenas noches.
Thank
Que
you.
descanses. I hope you rest. You contradicted yourself. Another day we'll go on depth on that. But I appreciate you, my man. Let's go.
I am the captain now.
Yeah.
Could I
So-
could I throw a question into the mix? Actually,
Well,
Sure.
I had one for Vigilante.
oh yeah,
Yeah. Adam was up first. So let him go first.
Just real. So to be clear, this proposed global system would be based off of proportion of the population, right, Vigilante?
Yeah, similar to how they have the proportional
So-
voting base like the EU and how we do in America and with the House. of
So are
Representatives.
you like just a really big fan of how like China and India govern themselves right now?
Not really.
Okay, well, that's who you're advocating to rule over the entire planet because they have the highest populations.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Well, I for one don't believe that China and India should be able to decide economic policy for Luxembourg. I rather like Luxembourg being its own independent thing and it being able to do its own weird Luxembourg-y shit, like have a monarch who's also a big fan of radical libertarian philosophy. I like that. But it seems like this view would just lead to political factionalization. You have the China bloc and the India bloc, or maybe they come together and then they just start, whipping everybody into shape with the inherent issues with democracy, which is you always end up with political factions. It's just
Yeah, I
now
mean,
it's just
democracy
now
has always
they're
been a-
turbo racialized. Now they're turbo racialized. There's political blocks in every country which has racial differences, and like this is like that, but like on crack. Like you really like.
And
This
they
is,
decide
like,
policy for
really
other
weird.
countries.
So, in the line of what Adam was asking, Vigilante, how would a one world government resolve an issue, for example, of a coup happening in Africa or in Latin America? What would be the procedural response to a coup in one of these nations?
I mean, similar to how you would deal with it within a country, like America, where we have states, it would be dealt with through military force.
And who would control
So-
the military?
Yeah, who's military?
Yeah, who's military?
and
China's and
who,
India's.
and who would we necessarily be forcing to assimilate to who
And to what?
and to what? Yeah,
So,
that's very
I mean,
What?
when we're talking about a coup, so it would necessarily be,
right. But wouldn't a coup necessarily be to force people to assimilate to the idea of the coup?
I mean, that would be the coup's goal. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
coups are
So
usually
so the people who are taking part in the coup would be forced to assimilate to the laws and goals of who?
I mean, the state that they're currently in.
Or
So it's just a dictatorship at the global level?
I mean, it would be a government at the global level. I mean, it's not a dictatorship, but
Not all
Well-
governments are dictatorships.
I mean, that's true, but I mean, like, depending on how we're trying to approach how global change will be enacted from different cultures around the world, inevitably somebody is going to have to assimilate to another culture's ideals, especially in
Yeah.
a global government.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
So
make it
whose
more-
ideals are we assimilating to?
Well, China's and India's.
Exactly. Now, if we look at China and India, do their cultural norms and do their cultural laws actually work with the majority of cultures around the world? Well, necessarily not. That's why there's different
Not
cultures across
necessarily.
the world, right?
Vigilante, in your ought to right now, right here, is there an international policy that has internationally been established through all the 195 nations of the world?
No, there's not.
Are you sure about that?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Incorrect. One major policy in the last 66 years that has been implemented throughout the 195 nations of the world is called the war on drugs, fabricated by the Nixon administration and onwards. That has been established through 3 international accords that have been ratified out of the 195 countries, 194. So basically, the whole world has been controlled by a one world policy from your country, and that has created the effects that we see today. And
what document are you talking about?
The 3 international
Talking about the war
accords,
on drugs.
the war on drugs, that is guided by the 3 international accords of the United Nations.
What international? Okay, so you're talking about this as if there's like a sheet of paper that somebody signed. Like, so what's the sheet?
Yeah.
Actually signed and ratified.
Okay, yeah. What is it? So I can look this up.
Sure. Just look up the UN Office of Drugs and Crime and look up for the 3 international accords on drug policy. You can Google it up like that. You'll find the International Accord of 69 amended on 71, the International Accord of 72, and the International Accord of 88, which
So
the 88 is the most recent one.
Wait, okay, so forgive my lack of knowledge on this, but I don't believe that all 195 countries in the world are all part of the UN.
Yeah, that's the UN. UN has 195 countries right now.
Is North Korea in the UN?
Yes, actually it is.
That's why I said
Okay,
194.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's got
And
a
actually, North Korea implemented the war on drugs also. Funnily enough, it is the so-called leftist countries, the most egregious, if you look at the examples of recently Venezuela in the last 25 years, the era of Latin America, and I can mainly focus on that area, that have been, the Evo Morales, the Rafael Correa.
Yeah, but here's the thing with this. Like, when we're talking about UN policy, like, the country signing onto it doesn't really mean anything, because it doesn't mean they're going to enforce it. And there's no means for them to enforce it. That's one of the problems that I have with the UN, is like, even if there is a policy, like say on the war on drugs, like you're talking about, that gets signed on to by everybody, there's no means of actually enforcing it.
That's why I said signed and ratified.
Yeah, real
Once
quick,
you
I just
hear
wanted to let CT know. Yeah, I've just been muting you when the echo was coming on. You can unmute and talk whenever you want, CT. I was just muting you because you had like a background noise when people were talking.
Yeah, but even if
So
it's signed and
Vigilante,
ratified,
they have been ratified. Once it's ratified, that's a one world policy. That's why I told you
but
an indication
again,
first in that sense.
it's
So in the real world, your experiment has already been put into place, at least in that major world policy.
Now
You see,
I think I'm going to have to start debating for Vigilante's side, because this is honestly just really silly. You realize that somebody signing a sheet of paper does not necessarily mean they're going to implement that policy?
No, but that's why I'm saying signed and ratified. When I'm saying ratified, it is that they took it to the legislative and passed it through their internal legislative and made it internally a law inside the country. Once it's ratified, that becomes law. So when I'm saying yes,
that's not necessarily true.
That's true.
That's just not true. There's nothing.
My question.
A country's delegation to the United Nations signing off on a proposed policy to the United Nations doesn't necessarily translate to legislation in that country
or enforcement.
And that's actually a really good point that I would like to kind of expand on a little bit, because if the United Nations decided that at some point they were going to instill a law and all 100 or all however many countries had agreed that would be a good idea to implement the law, and they decide to, let's say, ratify it voluntarily, and then 10 years down the line that, let's say, that same country that was voluntarily a part of that ratification has now decided to revoke their opinions on that law and go against it, what is the United Nations going to do? Or is that inherently going to have to be enforced by other countries?
First,
Uh,
in order for international laws to have an enforcement inside a sovereign nation, it has to go into the legislative process. Once it goes through that legislative process, it becomes law inside that particular country. Okay, so
It's not answering
the
the question.
Oh, hold on.
Because who is enforcing?
I want to make sure we understand this. So
Right.
we can agree.
I do
Signing a
understand. I
peace
just want to know
document-
who is enforcing that. Who will be
Okay.
going into that country to ensure that that is enforced? Is it the country's responsibility? Now, what if that country is not holding itself to that responsibility? It's now the United Nations' responsibility. Who is the United Nations? The United Nations is a group of other countries that is not your country that's going to force your country to assimilate to this law.
This is the
Well, I
beauty
mean, the whole
of this
the whole
thing.
problem is
And that's
like,
not going to...
This is the beauty.
well, the thing is, like, this is like, it goes into an issue that I brought up earlier of like why the UN is ineffective, and it's because like in order for that to be enforced, they have to be signed on to Interpol, they have to be signed onto the ICC, the ICJ. Like, if they're not signed into that, like the United States and Israel are not, it's fucking unenforceable, and that's the problem with the way that the UN is set up.
So let me clear this out. Once ratification is done through the legislative means, it is the internal legislation and the internal jurisdiction power of the courts that enforce that directly inside the country. If the country violates or is violating
Hold
that,
on. Which courts are you talking about?
okay, so let's put it real simple. For example, United States made CAFTA and NAFTA. Everybody knows what they are or what they were. The French agreements, NAFTA being the free trade agreement between Canada, now USCMA or whatever Trump is calling it nowadays, versus the CAFTA, which is the Caribbean and Central American, some countries in Central American free trade agreement. So in order for the agreements to be functional, each country took it to each of its legislative points. Okay, so
why aren't they here anymore? Because the United States didn't want that to be a thing anymore, and they revised it.
Hold on, no, it still is a thing. The USCMA was revised, but it still is, technically speaking, this.
It's a different. It was abolished and reinstated, right? It was abolished, reinstated as something else. I'm a Canadian, so the NAFTA agreement and all that stuff. I really have a strong understanding of this. A lot of that agreement was actually to benefit countries that weren't the United States. The United States voluntarily entered this agreement because they thought it would build better relationships with its neighbors at a detriment to their country. As a Canadian, I recognize that they're trying to change that because, they could walk out of this agreement. They're not obligated to stay in this agreement. Even contractually, even if it's written down, even if it's on law, if they decide not to follow what's written on that piece of paper, how are we going to make them?
It's all on paper at the end of the day.
I'm not discussing the
right
the details in regard to that. I'm giving an example. Okay, like you said, so once those agreements are ratified through the legislative means, they become force of law inside of each country. What happens if there's a dispute?
Hold on. What legislature are you talking about? Are you talking about the UN legislature or the legislature within the country?
Adam, let me start over again. You
started over 50 times.
Hold on.
Look, okay. So this is the only question I have. It's really simple. So you're saying when it's ratified within the legislature, it becomes law within the country. Okay. So Are you talking about the United Nations legislation, the United Nations legislature, or the legislative process within the country in question?
The international agreement, whichever it is.
So the United Nations.
Yes. Mainly, it is in the United Nations. Legislative power only has a very minute sense to make certain changes. But normally, when it's an international treaty, whatever the executive agreed and signed with other nations is what is presented to
So-
the legislative and reviewed to see if it does not have any conflict with the internal constitution of each country. If it doesn't, normally just passes through. And that's how, for example, trade agreements happen, and that's how
Right.
then you have the power of arbitration when there's a dispute of trade, and that's
Who
why
is the arbiter? Who is the
usually
arbiter of the
that's
arbitration?
usually that's an international arbitration. In a
Right. So
neutral
how are they
court.
going? How is that international arbitration going to stop the U.S. government from enforcing its constitution if they decide to implement something that wasn't that didn't correlate
with the
or work?
United Nations or something
Exactly.
like
Exactly.
For example, I'll give you an example of this type of case.
It's not an example case. This is a hypothetical. We're not looking
Yeah.
for an example.
No, but there are examples
I'm just
exactly that
curious,
respond to your hypothetical because your hypothetical has happened in real life. So fundamentally, in that sense, for example, let's focus on free trade agreements. When there's a conflict of trades between two countries, right? For example, the avocado situation that happened between the United States and Mexico and Mexico and Costa Rica. That was a real issue that happened. The countries then take that to arbitration and say, well, the restrictions placed by the United States on avocado are a violation of our initial agreement because we agreed to this type of terms, and this extra thing that they're putting on our avocados violates that agreement. So that is what is being debated and put into the arbitration court, the international arbitration court.
But like on that topic you just brought up, specifically to run with your avocado gambit that you're running, over here in America, we don't give a fuck. to oversimplify it, we had no idea there was this conflict of avocados. Americans just like avocados.
Well, the United States government certainly knew.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like the trade market's new, but most American people had no idea that even happened. So,
And
I guess my question
Go ahead.
is more is with everything you're saying, I'm curious what side of the line are you on globalism? Are you for? Do you think globalist markets would help your country, or do you think globalist markets would hurt your country?
Look,
My
generally
position-
it sounds like you want globalism, but as long as it's not held by the United States government.
Well,
Yeah.
that's kind of what it sounded like earlier. That like this
Yeah, no.
globalism sounds good. When Vigilante, when I first got on, I was talking about Israel, and like I agree. Yeah, it would be great to be able to arrest Bibi Netanyahu. But the question
That sounds
comes,
fun.
and I apologize if you guys went over this, but you know I don't really know your basic thesis of this, but it just doesn't seem like a practical thing logistically. Who is in charge? What are the rules? Who are? And I mean, you know, again, we were talking about the
question-
UN.
So
But
let me answer that question
Well,
in a very
I'm-
simple sense.
the big. I will just say.
well, real quick, if I could just, I don't mean to take over, but Vigilante, do you mind just like restating your thesis in like 30 seconds?
Yeah, so like when we're talking about
And then
international
after that, there's a question for you that if you wanted to answer because he missed the Q&A. And LD's a big time supporter here, so if you could
Yeah,
answer
so-
it, I would appreciate it. But it's obviously you don't have to.
Just a motion of order. After answering that question, can I then reply to what is my notion of globalism and what I stand on?
Yeah, sure. Well, let Vigilante
I
give
have
his.
a quick comment. I have a quick comment to add on to.
Let Vigilante give his take on globalism to give a TLDR for everyone, and then he can answer this question, and then we'll let you go.
Yeah, so when we're talking about this policing issue specifically, the way that I would want it to work is similar to how like the FBI works here in America, because like my way that I'm like thinking about how like it should be set up is very similar to how we have the United States set up. So it would effectively be similar to how the FBI works. The FBI in this case would obviously be Interpol, where they enforce the federal laws, but they don't necessarily enforce state laws. They can come in and help state actors when we're talking about like serial killers and stuff, obviously, but like they don't enforce state laws. They only enforce federal laws. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, good enough for now. Yeah.
But that's not really globalism though. That's federalism.
Well, I'm talking about
global scale.
applying. Yeah, I'm talking about applying federalism on a global scale.
But so
That would definitely be a form of globalism. That's global.
Yeah, it
government.
would be because
That would be.
But would that take away the sovereign status of individual countries?
Yes. Because individual countries would effectively become states like they are in the United States.
Bro, do you know Pinky in the Brain? You're like you're like the brain. It's like we want to take over the world. Let's take their sovereignty. Like what is this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
If I may answer,
philosophy is
Why do you think that would work when we already see so many problems with global
That's my
stuff
question.
going on?
Jesus,
the
if
EU.
I may, I want to make a contrast of what his vision of globalism is versus what I support and what I have been working on in my past 25 years as a political activist. One, I stand with sovereignty. I stand with self-determination. And I stand with the lessons that we learned after the World War II, where we need to understand that the standardization of that self-determination via constitutional republics is an essential for freedom and a fight against either theocracy, monarchy, or any other form of tyrants in power.
Look, Dan, here's what I want you to understand. Nobody stands with buzzwords more than I do. I love buzzwords so much.
Adam, I know
You have no idea how much I support all the good things and oppose all the bad things.
No,
If you're
hold on,
against
hold
me,
on.
you support bad things.
Yeah, I think,
Wow, Adam, you're
I
so
think it's really
virtuous.
simple.
I'm
Party
very,
is
very
my bad guy,
right
good
there
guy
with you,
club.
buddy.
Hold on.
Right there with you.
I think
Let
it's
him
make
finish.
those
Let him
claims.
finish.
I want thanks. Let me finish. So, understanding that concept, I also support, for example, the standardization of the fundamentals of civil rights, aka through the human rights, the necessary establishment of furthering those civil rights through the constitutional means. In the matters of economic, I stand with a fair trade, not so much as free trade, but a fair trade between nations. I stand opposed to any form of hegemony, be it the United States, China, Russia, Europe, or whoever. And I consider that the lessons learned from the World War II tells us that we cannot fall into this whole notion of Anglo-centric U.S. defaultism or any other form of defaultism. And we have to enable the possibility of, we have to enable as nations, as people, the possibility of self-determination and let people make their own mistakes. And if they need help, we will provide help. But most of the time, interventionism should be seen as the last resort, not the first one.
Okay, but you just listed up a bunch of buzzwords, and
Who's enforcing this?
yeah,
That's the big question.
That's what we're coming back to. Who's the leader? Who is the one determining these are the
No,
rules?
every single one of these arguments rules down to how are we enforcing this? Who are we putting at the top to make sure that it happens in this way?
And then I can
That
tell
is a flawed thinking. Why is it the only
How is that a
solution?
flawed thinking?
It's not a
How is
flawed-
it a flawed thinking?
Why is it?
Well, just
that
answer
the
it then.
only-
Who would be in charge?
Ultimately,
Okay.
Who would be in charge then?
ultimately, at the end of the day, ultimately, there has to be a will that is put onto a populace. whose will are we putting onto the populace?
I think we find here's
let him answer the question.
Here's
Let
my
him answer the
solution.
question.
I
basically,
said we find the most recently born oh shit, who is that, like Franz Ferdinand. He was part of some like long lineage of kings from Europe. We should figure out where the fuck he was from, and we should put him back in charge. Like his lineage got
like
fucked over
Anson
by
now.
World War One.
I think
Honestly,
I
the
think
only
we should put
person,
the band. Franz
the only person
Ferdinand back in power.
historically,
We should take the musical act, the band Franz Ferdinand, and put them in power and see.
Nah, they suck.
well, actually, I wanted to touch on something. The only historical person that I can ever see in history probably being somebody suitable to be at the top of the hierarchy would ironically be a theologic person in Jesus Christ himself. And I'm not a Christian, but I'm looking at this from a globalist population. But we would necessarily, at a globalist level, have to have a leader that seems Christ-like for us to be able to operate.
Real quick. One sec. Let me destroy this. Let me destroy this. Hey, which church authority do we give it to?
Yeah.
Do we give it to the Orthodox? Do we give it to the Catholics?
I'm not saying be a
that's the
church
problem.
authority. I'm saying that
Okay, so
But he brings up a
it
good
would
point.
have to
That,
be
No,
a
yeah.
that
Christ-like
necessitates a
figure.
war. That necessitates
no.
a world
In
war.
order-
Is it
Yeah,
not?
at some point,
does.
somebody has to make the decisions for the world, and who that someone is
Let me
would
ask
need
this.
to be determined through some kind of either a conflict
Some
or
method.
some
True.
global agreement where everybody surrenders basically their.
At the end of
Let me
At
ask
the end of the
let me
day-
ask this
Messiah.
to the
Hold
whole
on,
thing.
I wanna answer
goes
this
to
real
everyone.
quick.
Hold on, guys.
Because
free
Hold on,
will
please.
to
Hold
this
on,
there's a
please.
global
flaw
organization.
in the whole sense.
I just have one
put it this
question.
way, real
This is
simple.
to everyone.
Hold on, hold
It's the
up.
dance show tonight.
Yeah, it really is.
Hold up. Let's see. Let CT finish there, and then Dan, you go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up a good point with saying should it go to theologic side or should it go to the who's in charge side? Let me ask a question to everyone on this panel. Do you think we can get to a globalist system without having a massive conflict?
No.
nope.
and can
People
I
are way
explain-
too different. People
Absolutely
are way too
not.
diversified. Everybody has their own view. There's
gotta
8
agree.
billion people on this earth. Trying to get 8 billion people, all with various backgrounds, individualities, and cultures that they've all grown up in various states of rich, poor, wealthy, unwealthy. Getting all of those people to all come together at for one goal and one government and under one banner is virtually impossible without a literal alien
Facts.
invasion.
Facts.
Okay,
even
so-
then,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
even then,
even then.
I was gonna say, I
And may
honestly
I-
don't even
may I
think the
expand?
aliens could unite us at this point. I think if aliens touched down tomorrow, they would get off the alien spaceship and they would say, "Have you heard of Jesus Christ?"
So let me,
Can I expand?
He's
on
not
that?
lying.
Things
He's not
that
lying.
definitely will not happen.
Well, the thing
No,
is like
but-
if we're looking at globalism, we have to understand that globalism itself would necessarily function as a religion.
Yep.
So okay,
Nah.
first let me
Why? Wait.
address-
Why not? How would it not function as a religion?
No, he said it
Globalism?
would
It
be.
would necessarily.
It would have to be.
necessarily.
Yeah.
act
Somebody
as a
said no.
religion.
Somebody said no. I
Who said
totally
no?
agree with JP. Like,
I mean, I kind of did. I don't like globalism. So what's the parameters of the religion? Like, how does this work?
The religion is
Regardless.
the one world. It's
Yeah.
the one world order.
It's the government.
It's the
Whatever
government
the rules
religion.
are.
Religion
That's
across
the religion.
world at the highest
So
level.
a global religion? You think it would be a global religion?
No, it
So
would
let me-
function
Yes,
like.
it
a
would say. Let me
religion.
explain. Like Culper, whoever they put in charge of this, global leadership,
Yeah.
whatever, like they will literally be idolized as a god. They will turn
Because
that
he
person
necessarily
into a
would
deity.
be.
Okay, yeah,
He'd be
no,
the
I guess
king
I
of the
don't
world,
disagree
literally.
with that. Yeah, okay.
Necessarily.
Dictatorship.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me readdress this
Dictatorship.
whole
Wow,
conversation.
globalism leads to dictatorship. Worldwide national.
Vigilante. Does that mean that you're saying yes? I want a world war so that we can have globalism.
Everyone, you're going down a
No,
rabbit hole that is-
I laid out.
One sec, Dan.
hold
One
on.
sec.
One sec.
I-
Let
One at a
Vigilante
time.
answer. Let Vigilante answer Indian Jesus, and then Dan, you can clear up what you're trying to clear up.
I laid out two different possibilities for how this could happen. One, yes, it would require a world war, which I do think is an inevitability at this point anyways. It would be more something to institute this as a protective measure against having another world war post that world war. Similarly to how the UN was supposed to do that, except the UN was set up in a very shitty way.
League of Nations. Yeah, love that.
But doesn't that
however, that is more of like the we're doing this tomorrow route. Realistically speaking, we would want to do this over the next several decades, if not century.
So I don't necessarily understand. So we're going to have to, over a long duration of time, convince people to join our cause and assimilate to our rules, and we would have to necessarily ensure that other people around the world are following whoever the globalist leaders who are inviting these people into the group's rules, right? Like that's the implementation what the UN is, right? Like
what does that
what you're
cooperation-
advocating.
Well, let's let. I think Dan was
Yeah,
kind of
Dan
going
was
here with what he was
Yeah.
saying. Let him
So,
clear up what he was going to say.
Jay
there.
Putti, let me stillman your attempted counter of what I was saying. You're saying that in order for everything to work, you need one type of leader, one strong
true.
leader. Is that
Not
what
true.
you're trying to say?
That is not what I'm saying. I'm
Okay.
saying that a globalist government necessarily would have a head, somebody at the top. That person at the top would necessarily make the majority of the decisions, meaning anybody underneath the person at the top would necessarily have to follow whatever's implemented at the top, even if it is
like a god.
even if it is a democratic system. And let's say we're just going full democracy, like 51% passes. What if 49% don't want to follow that law? And now we have conflict. Now, who's going to define what conflict is correct? The person at the top.
It would never be that. It would never be that. And a key example.
How could it never be that?
A key example.
Let Dan answer Jay Putti
Okay.
there.
Very simple. The appeal to hierarchy becomes a fallacy when your only point of reference is saying there has to be somebody at the top.
So are you advocating for
Hold on.
communism?
Hold on. No, I'm not advocating in any form or anything yet. What I was trying is to clarify your point. So now that I understand your point, that you're fundamentally saying that in this system, in the one government or whatever proposal, you always need to have somebody on top making the decisions. I am countering that with saying no, not necessarily.
Then nobody can enforce anything.
That is a limited way of thinking, because at the end we have to acknowledge that human behavior and human relation also tends to reject that one individual on top. If we are able to
we have religion. That's
respect.
incorrect.
Hold on. If we're
That's
able
inherently
as
incorrect.
humans to reach that goal that has been established since the end of the World War II, of saying instead of thinking ourselves as one has to be on top of the other, one is better than the other, and instead
it's not about better. It's about who's enforcing.
Fundamentally, that's your argument.
It's not. You're
Your
strawmanning my argument wholeheartedly. Ultimately, somebody has to enforce what's being put in place. Who is enforcing that?
JP, sorry. Can we just get an agreement from Dan on that? That if it is globalism, there's one person, or at the very least one entity.
He's not going to agree on that. He's not.
Well, hold on.
So from what I'm hearing,
I think
Dan.
It's not one.
Maybe I'm not clear, but from what I'm hearing, I think Dan, you're saying like you would want more than one person or entity at the top.
Are you looking for an oligarchy in that case?
Right. Yeah, that's why I said
a whole bunch of people,
one entity.
The one who's proposing the one world government. What I'm continuing on, or what I'm
arguing against the one world government. I'm not.
Me too.
I'm arguing against this notion of U.S.-centric, U.S. despotism, one world government. What I'm saying is that
I'm arguing against that as well.
I'm also arguing against that. I think.
Yeah, so I don't know why we have this.
So who's in that case? You don't want it to be U.S. centric, and I'm pretty sure no one here would want it to be like Indian or Chinese centric, based on the whole population requirement that people speculated on beforehand. The question just then becomes, whose system of, I guess, virtues, I'm going to say, does this globalist country fall under? Who do we answer to? Like, what's this entity? That's what's not being explained.
I actually think what Dan is advocating for is sovereignty of all nations, but appealing to a global government that doesn't actually have any authority over the countries, but the countries are independent. He's looking for like, he's looking for like a shadow blanket. Like it's so this is why I'm not taking his arguments seriously, is actually because like his arguments aren't arguing towards the topics that we're talking about. His arguments are going towards what he wants to talk about, not what we are talking about. That's why I'm not.
Yeah, he's talking about the status quo. Is literally what he's talking about.
Yeah, we have that. It's called the United Nations, and everybody appeals to the United Nations, but the United Nations so far hasn't really done anything to the problems that people like.
I'll give you an example. One of the biggest problems with the United Nations is that with one hand they are establish the instruments of human rights that we could say are beneficial for humanity, and the implementation and ratification of those are beneficial for freedom. On the other hand, they establish the 3 international accords of anti-drugs via United States that continuously violate human rights.
Right. So what if the globalist leaders instilled those exact same things across all countries without your voluntary acceptance of being in that program?
What I'm advocating is as follows, and it's something that it's actually permeated in our history. In fact, we've seen it happen systematically in our reality, at least in the last 200 and 250 years. It is the standardization of those norms that strive for more freedom, less imposition of any sort, religious, political, economical, etc., military.
How is that better than what we have right now? That's what I'm not understanding, because we already have some form of a global coalition, and that doesn't do well. And so it seems like you're advocating for more of that, and done in a slightly different way. I know you guys said the UN did it wrong, but what would be the main goal of that one world government?
No, I'm not.
And how would we enforce it?
Well, before we even get to enforcement, let's say we could enforce it, and it would be perfectly perfect, exactly as you want it. Why would you want it?
Okay, first, each country, each self-determination has to have the freedom to be able to implement, to be able to establish that. Let it be its own people that decide how it's implemented in that sense. We can agree on that aspect.
I don't think we do agree on that aspect.
No.
Okay, so you would say that the U.S. U.S. defaultism, the U.S. interventionism and exceptionalism should be applied hegemonically on all the world, and that every single person in the world should copy what the United States is doing.
I don't think not one of us have even said anything close to that at all. Actually, we've been more typically advocating that we allow the cultures to be involved with themselves and develop through themselves. And now you're.
And why, since the end of the war to today, that's exactly what the United States has been doing.
Well, I'm not even American. I'm not part of the government. I couldn't give you any of those answers. I don't think anyone on this panel could give you an answer as to why the government would be doing their own individual governmental things. Like here's the thing. Like you can say all of these things and then accuse us of being like, dumb Americans that are trying to force assimilation into American culture. But at the end of the day, I'm not even American. I'm Canadian.
I'm going to take a crack.
Canada's part of America. You're the topmost. Well, obviously, this is
Canada.
America.
If Canada was a part of America, America would be tragic right now,
Hey.
because America would be
51st
ruled by
state.
liberals.
No, I'm
dude.
kidding.
I wish, man. Like I wish. I was living out in Alberta.
no.
If we got annexed into
something
the States, I feel like my
So,
freedoms would actually
what I'm
be lifted
sensing
much
here-
more than I have now.
So maybe I'm dumb. I apologize, but again, what is the goal of switching to a one world? What does that accomplish? That's what I'm not understanding.
You'll have to ask Vigilante on that one, because what I'm advocating is not one world government. What I'm advocating is a standardization of the.
Fair enough. All right, so Vigilante.
norms.
Then what is the benefit that if we were to get a one world government and it works perfectly as you want it to, what does that do for humanity, America, the global conflict, all of that stuff?
Well, one, it would be able to be used to prevent global conflict, because we would be able to enforce international law and actually prosecute people who try to violate international law. Two, we would be able to use the global government to rapidly industrialize certain countries that are not even close to being able to be industrialized, like most of Africa. That's just constantly being exploited by companies like the mining companies and shit, who still use
Or
slavery
the own
and child
people
labor.
just not doing anything with the resources that they have and killing each other for them, and not knowing how to use the resources that they have.
Or what if they just don't want to be
That
industrialized?
as well.
Yeah,
I think the problem is less of them not wanting to be industrialized and more. I mean, like that is an
Tell the
issue in
Sentinel.
certain areas, like the fucking tribal the areas that are still tribal. But like generally speaking,
Now, does this
What do you-
inherently
it's
give
more
us
of an
more or less?
exploitation.
That's a good question, actually. What do you do with those tribal areas that have no bearing of what this global government
Yeah,
is
like
like?
Sentinel Island.
Let it
You know, I don't
What,
think they.
what do you do with them?
They've made it
have
pretty
no-
clear that they
they
are
have no-
happy living the way that they're living.
Yeah.
And so
let 'em
maybe
be.
I'll even give you and say maybe there's a cutout and certain you know, like Sentinel Island is just not part of the one world government. Like fair,
Oh, like
but then still I don't
indigenous
understand
areas.
how that benefits me as an American or a Canadian or somebody in the UK. Why would I? What is the benefit to me?
I would say the main benefit would become the freedom of movement, being able to go wherever you can to be able to actually seek opportunities. Whereas, like, one of the issues that we have now is like if you want to get a job in a different country, it's fairly hard to do so.
You have to get a
Vigilante,
work
one
visa.
question.
But there's reasons for that, right?
If you have visa. All right,
It's not just randomly hard. It's
Right.
hard because countries have a culture and borders
Yeah.
and want to keep that. And so what you're proposing
Yeah,
is
because
that
of arbitrary bullshit.
Well, I don't
Cultures are
necessarily
not
think.
arbitrary
That's a fair
bullshit.
point. That's a fair point, but a lot of people don't agree. And so if you, especially in individuals' country, like I'm a first generation American. My parents are immigrants, but I'm a fucking American all the way through. And if you, there's a lot of people that in every other country, in Russia, wherever. And so it seems like, and so let me say how it seems like, and you can tell me how I'm wrong. It seems like you're saying, I've got the answers, guys. We just got to do it like this, and everybody's just got to listen to me. So if I that may not be the case. That's
Trust
the way
me,
that's
bro.
seen. Yeah,
I
that's
got
the way
this.
that's
Trust
seen.
me.
I'm
We would
more so
inherently
like-
have to abolish religion to ensure that nobody
Please.
would
I'm all for
inherently
that.
kill each other because of religious ideology before
I
we
mean,
can
now,
even instill a
now,
government.
now
right?
you're just saying silly stuff. Like
The
what?
day
Well,
humanity
I'm
advances
I'm
from
not.
religion-
I'm not saying silly
Well,
stuff.
let's just say
No.
one
You
point at a
understand?
time.
That's,
Like,
that's quite silly. That's quite silly.
Why don't we take it
it's
one
not-
point at a time?
it's
Countries
really
that don't
not silly.
want to be involved in a one world government. How do you handle that? And before you were talking about war, so is that we just do what we want or else?
In certain instances that might necessarily have to happen, like with stabilizing the Middle East, that would only be able to be done through force.
Yeah, agreed. And so then it goes back to what JP was saying. And now we ask, okay, who is the arbiter of what values we are enforcing?
and assimilating too.
Because it has to go under somebody. Someone's got
And
to
it-
say something.
And that's why we would have to necessarily abolish religion because they oppose each other ideologically.
Oh,
Yeah, so
yeah.
Vigilante, are you up for one sec, Vigilante, are you up for like using force on the Muslims that want to throw gay people off roofs? Are we just gonna wipe them out?
That's not even what we're asking.
I wouldn't necessarily say wipe them out, but using force and then possibly using re-education. Yeah.
So subjugating them.
Oh, okay.
Re-education.
So notice
Wait,
how this. One sec.
hold on.
Let me finish. Let me land the plane. So notice how this started with like a benevolent. We need globalism so we can help the poor. But when the poor have wrong think, it's okay. We're going to use force and then we'll re-educate them. And if we can't re-educate them, I don't like saying we'll wipe them out,
Yeah.
but something will happen to them.
Well, so hold on. This is actually very, very funny because the initial thing you said you weren't really a fan of how China does things. That's fair. Most people aren't. Do you know what China did with like the Uyghur Muslims? They put them in re-education camps.
And then they were never.
So you know what? Maybe
boy.
you actually do support China having
Maybe the
control
Chinese weren't
over
that
like this
wrong
one
after
world
all.
government,
Hey,
and then we
not
can
every-
just
Alright.
do like
And
a
on that
Uyghur
note-
policy, but with like all of them.
Not every.
And on that
everything
note, I
China's
think I
done
gotta
is
go
wrong.
for the night, guys. I think I gotta go for the night. I do want to just like touch on one last thing, in that like, at the end of the day, we all have to appeal to some sort of force doctrine, and that's just inevitable. Whose force and whose enforcement are we inevitably gonna have to assimilate to? Depends where you are. And now with the globalist government, it doesn't matter where you are. You have to assimilate to whoever's in charge. So you guys have a good night. I appreciate
Good night,
you
Bootsy.
hosting the panel.
Yeah.
If you can
Thanks
hear
for
me,
coming up, man. Come
Yeah,
anytime.
everyone.
I
Peace
just wanted
out.
to address that point. If I stand with somebody with force, I would stand with my history of here in America, either North, Central, South, or Caribbean, where we kicked the ass of the Europeans and we became independent, be it the British, the French, the Spaniards, etc. Hell,
Spinach.
the
Spinach
you know,
people.
The collard greens, man.
spinach,
The greens.
the people who hired the Italian
Real Plants
dude,
vs. Zombies hours.
the
There you
genocider
go.
called
There
Colon.
it is.
Anyhow, I'm proud of my history that here we killed the Spaniards, the Christians, etc., my indigenous people, and we took land back from them that they had stolen us. And we consider that a national hero here, Pablo Presbyterian. I'm proud of Tupac Amaru. I'm proud of Wate, who were other indigenous who were fighting against the invasion way before the era of independence.
Sure. I don't think anybody is saying that fighting for your culture is a bad thing. What we're saying is that there's going to be a lot of cultures with exactly what you're saying. That, oh, this is my culture. We fought these. We killed those people. It's going to be every culture together. It'll be a Royal Rumble of Earth.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point.
What I found
And
interesting about the
survival
point
of the
vigilante-
fittest. Times,
But wait, hold
you
on,
know,
hold on. Do we
it's most
agree,
raw
or
form.
and you're saying yes that it's going to be a Royal Rumble, and that's just how we
Yeah.
got to get there? As Vigilante said earlier, if we do that, then under his ideal world, then there would be no more world wars because we would have the one government. I'm not trying to dunk on you or anything. I'm genuinely trying to understand because
I get
I don't get
where
it.
you're coming from. And let me put it this way. What I find interesting about the Vigilantes shoot is that it's missing completely what is, and that there are many elements that have shown that his idea, let's say, in my particular perspective, is completely and utterly immature. It needs a lot more work to be better developed. But when we speak about the idea of globalism, it is not in this Anglo-centric, US-centric perspective. It is on the perspective of understanding what has happened, what lessons we've learned, and how cooperation over hegemony helps us to improve better as humanity. That's the fundamental difference between what I stand by and what Vigilante has proposed in his should scenario. And in the case of what you were saying, Jesus, and I'm sorry, I don't know if you're Indian of India or are you?
I'm a dot, not a feather. Dot.
Huh?
I'm a dot, not a feather.
He's Indian Jesus, bro. Get it right.
No, but sorry, it's just that I dislike the term Indian to refer to me or to my people either in North, Central, South as native people.
You just
were
call me
here
Lutch. Clutch without the C. You can call me Lutch.
Lutch. All right, thank you. So Lutch, what you were saying, of course, you know, Rob brought it up. Well, the Indians here before the Europeans were savages, which is a bullshit argument because he does not realize that the savages were also the Europeans, and they were coming out of a dark age era. They were coming out of basically living through an Inquisition, you know, that the Christians were persecuting everybody over there. The monarchies were a disaster in Europe. So to come around and tell us, well, you guys were savages because your former civilizations also had internal conflicts is a bullshit argument. It does not.
I mean, even at the peak of the Dark Ages, the Europeans were not like, you know, sacrificing people to like the sun god or, you know, shit like that. We weren't engaging in like rampant.
No, they were just burning people at the stake.
Yeah.
No.
Actually, well, not so to whatever degree burning at the stake did occur. It was at a much lesser rate as the fucking like cannibalism.
I was giving you shit. I was giving you shit.
Well, I'm going to respond to it. And additionally, when most people are thinking of witch burnings, they're thinking of things that happened in the late 1800s, and not the Dark Ages, which is far before that.
Again, in this sense, I touched the nerve right there.
I know, that was just genociding.
Go back to your point, Lutch. See, exactly.
It doesn't matter.
The point of understanding one's own history is also seen through the optics of sensibility.
Yes,
but true, Dan. I want to know about your optics. That's true. Do you think it's a good thing to sacrifice people to the sun god on top of a massive temple? Is that a good thing according to your optical view? Is that acceptable morally?
As it seems that it's acceptable to have people burning on the stake for a Christian god that you're accepting. So, I mean, you trying to indicate.
Okay, great, Dan. What I want you to do is I want you to like find me any evidence that was happening at anywhere near the rate that the fucking Aztecs were doing it.
How many people?
Because I'll tell you right now, capital punishment is what you're talking about here. Capital punishment isn't what the fucking Aztecs were doing. The Aztecs weren't performing capital punishment. Capital punishment, even in that time period, was incredibly rare. The Inquisition, which is what you keep bringing up, was, if you actually fucking read what the Inquisition wrote, they were more often on the defense of the so-called heretics or the sinners, and it was the secular institutions that were trying to advocate for them being like brutally tortured.
He loves to excuse the savagery of his people in order to justify the killing of well over 100,000 people during the Inquisition.
What I am pointing out is a comparison. So, but hold on. So I want to be clear. Optically, I think it's acceptable to do what the Inquisition did. I can say that for my quote unquote savages. Now, Dan, I want to hear you say that you think it was fine for the Aztecs to sacrifice hundreds of however many people every day on top of their massive temples. Do you think that was acceptable?
It is unfortunate that you cannot criticize your own culture, but I can, and I can tell you that the issues that were happening here, I can criticize what through presentism that you want.
What
that's what you're asking me.
That's crazy.
None of this is.
You're asking me to validate in the same way that I've been doing in that sense through presentism. So
I'm asking you. I'm asking.
Can I try going a different direction with this?
Do you think it's acceptable or not? Okay. So two questions. Two questions. One, do you think it was acceptable back then? Two, do you think it's acceptable now? That way we're not dealing with presentism. It's two different questions. One deals with moral questions as to the present. The other one deals with moral questions as to the past.
And no.
Okay, so it wasn't acceptable in either case. Well, then what the fuck?
So for you, it is acceptable in the Inquisition.
Yes.
You said it was acceptable for the
Inquisition. So to be clear, I think that what the Inquisition specifically did was morally acceptable back then. Whether or not it's morally acceptable now, I'd probably say no. But back then, they were moral fucking paragons. Back then, they were super acceptable because we could compare what they were doing to what the fucking Aztecs were doing.
Imagine showing up and seeing that. Just
None of this is relevant.
Yeah,
it kind of
Again,
is relevant.
your
No,
South
because- no,
Europeans
because-
came here
I'm
and decided
on Adam's
arbitrarily to say, "Oh, look at the people doing what they were doing." I can tell you, I disagree with human sacrifice. Yes, and what was being done on the Aztecs was a lower number, as you were saying. In the same way that you were excusing the Inquisition, it can be excused on the human sacrifice, looking at the anthropological evidence in that sense. And you could say, well, there were certain justifications, certain moments where what is done. So, what the problem with your argument is you're not being consistent with it.
I'm being perfectly consistent with it. What I'm saying with the Inquisition is I'm comparing what the Inquisition was doing.
Do you condemn
with other contemporary legal systems? What the Inquisition was doing, according, well, I actually can't remember the particular historian, but what the Inquisition was doing at the time was they were often interceding on behalf of criminals in favor of them in front of secular authorities, and offering their recommendations. They, in and of themselves, did not, as a matter of course, punish people. They gave recommendations, but often their recommendations were more lenient than what the secular authorities wanted to do. So, as a matter of fact, given in that time period, I'm saying in that time period, they were good because they wanted less harsh treatment. Now, in the modern day, I'm not saying that in the modern day they're good because torture bad, obviously, but less torture is better than more torture.
Hard to argue with that.
Okay. So basically, you're justifying the actions, and you're not condemning them.
Check your chat.
In that sense. So let me address it this way and ask you, Adam. What was the amount of people that were supposedly or allegedly sacrificed by the Aztecs, number-wise? Do we have that?
I don't know. Off the top of my head, no.
How many people were murdered by the Inquisition in Europe, particularly Spain, France, etc.?
Like murdered by the Inquisition, I would say probably close to zero. Because what the Inquisition was doing was they were providing advice to secular authorities on what those secular authorities should do. So they in of themselves were not implementing any of these punishments. So in any case in which the Inquisition led to somebody's death, they weren't the ones carrying it out. They were saying this is what you should do, and then the secular authorities did it. So with the Inquisition is close to zero. There's probably a few cases of like an Inquisitor getting really pissed off and shanking a dude. So like I admit, but that's not a matter of policy.
So we know that
for the Aztecs it was policy. They did that shit as part of their culture.
Yes.
So that brings us back to the idea of conflicting cultures. So let me try it from a different direction. What is so bad about the way the world is run today that we need to switch over to a one world government?
Well, that's for vigilante. The problems with the world today, from the perspective of someone different from vigilante that does not advocate for one world government, but advocates for a continuous cooperation under the respect of self-determination and sovereignty, I would tell you that the three main problems are the continuing of the hegemony of one country over others, the problem of ethnical conflicts that, in most of them, emanate from the era of colonialism of the Europeans, of the savages of Europeans that still carry on to today, that are then aggravated.
Our savages are better than your savages.
It sounds like all of these would be exacerbated by a one world government or globalism in general, not specifically, but how would those not be exacerbated?
Also,
I would say yes, they would be exacerbated, but it's vigilantes to go for that.
It would sound as though, and I wanted to say this while you were explaining this before, and everybody didn't seem to get it. You're basically advocating for what the United States of America is now. It's funny that you said that, after World War II and how U.S. world dominance, how U.S. world dominance is like the bad thing of the world and whatnot. But you're saying everybody should be sovereign while agreeing to a one world policy. Basically, you want everybody to be themselves under this one world government. That's the United States. You just described what the United States already does with the 50 states all coming together, having their own culture, having their own governments, but also sending a representative out to a central location to basically govern the rest of the country.
So,
you're advocating for a republic, basically.
Okay, real quickly. One, just to we leave this on the record. A study by Gustav Henningsen indicated to us that the minimum executions by the Spaniard Inquisition was between 3,000 to 5,000 out of 150,000 people detained. Just we leave that on the record. It's important to leave it there. To your point, Tomahawk.
So who wrote this?
So let me ask you something real quickly to you, Tom.
Who wrote it? Can you say it again? Who wrote it?
Gustav Henningsen.
Gustav Henning.
And that's minimum. That's minimum executions for what?
Spain, the Spaniard Inquisition. So
why is that relevant?
No, I just wanted to leave that on the record because of the conversation.
It's a response to what I was saying.
Yeah. Okay, Tomahawk, to your point. So let me ask you. In the last 200, 250 years, has there been a one world policy established? And if so, what is it?
Not that I know of.
Not that I know of. The closest that we ever got was the United Nations, and we're seeing even in this present day how well the United Nations is effective in policing or establishing a world order. The closest we got is the United Nations, but that's still nothing close to what we're looking at as a one world government. So nothing.
Can I ask you, what is the difference between the basic hold on, Spanish is coming up. Okay, what is the difference between the Constitution of Iran, of Pakistan, or the Constitution of United States, or the Constitution of Mexico, Argentina, or Costa Rica, for example?
I honestly wouldn't know. I just know since I'm American, I only know the
In
Constitution
what context?
of America. Yeah, and
Okay.
that would be the next question. In what context?
Good.
There's different people. They
Beautiful.
have different
Beautiful.
names.
So,
they
for
need a
example,
different country.
For example, that was a trick question because I said, what is the difference? Because now I'm going to ask you, sure, we can denote that there are differences of people, of geographical region, etc. But are there standardizations between those constitutions, and what are they?
Are there standardizations? I mean, I guess within their own country, there's a standard within their own country that's set up by the people of that country. But
maybe
I'm not sure what you mean by standardizations.
Okay. Fine. Yeah, that would be my academic fault of how I address this, because I tend to educate it in that way. So let me ask. Currently in modern day, are all constitutional republics based off three major principles?
No, I mean 3+.
Yes. One of them is the separation of state and.
Why don't you just say the thing instead of dragging us all along? Did you think that number one?
What are you getting at here, man?
I have the thing. Okay,
Like,
so
Go ahead.
okay. Yes, the standardization of constitutional republics are based on three major principles: civil rights, separation of powers, a clear separation of powers, including Iran. In their constitutional establishes that there is.
Why are you bringing up Iran right now?
Yeah.
To give an example of how that standardization has happened in the last 250 years, especially emanating from the era of independence that happened here in the Western Hemisphere. Now, understanding that, and the point I wanted to make with this is that is that
It's coming, guys. The point is coming.
yeah. Sorry,
One
I'm
day.
Bated breath.
express myself in the best way possible and also come clear as to what I'm trying to
You're good. We're listening, brother.
indicate on.
You're good. You're good. Finish it up. You're good.
So
The plane's running out of fuel, bro. Go, go, go.
oh, I could talk to this for hours.
You
my friend.
got to get the cocaine
I
to
get
America,
lost.
bro.
Come
The
on.
plane's running out of fuel.
Okay, the point being here is that for the past 200 and 250 years and more in the last almost 80 years, we have seen a continuous standardization of that concept of one form of policy being practiced by majority of countries. This has to do with the constitutional republics. This has to do with the civil rights, aka eventually evolved into human rights. This has to do with the practice.
It has to do with a lot of things, and the point is,
that then we see that naturally we've already went into commonality of practice, and that the idea of a not one world government but a one world corporation is fundamentally already has its basis. The problem,
okay, and then
my counter with Vigilante is that his vision is so immature and so lacking of historical perspective that at the end it becomes just this absurdity in its extreme.
So,
what does that have to do? What I thought this was a conversation about globalism.
Yeah.
Did I click on the wrong thing? What does that have to do with a one world government? Every time I ask you a question, you kick it back to Vigilante, and then you go on a tirade about what you're talking about, and then I ask you a question. Whoa, well, that's a question for Vigilante. Vigilante's giving me the answers to the questions that I've asked. I'm asking you the question. What is the benefit? I gave it in two different ways. Take whichever one you want. You can take Avenue A. What is the benefit of changing to globalism? Or Avenue B is what is so bad about what we have that we need globalism?
I'll be honest. I want to ask very clearly: are you for or against globalism? I can't tell.
I don't think he knows either.
That's the beauty thing about it. It's not a question of being in favor or against.
It literally is. That's what we're doing here.
I explained
the whole point of the prompt is whether or not globalism
I'm here to discuss
should be
globalism.
implemented around the world.
If you're just here to list off facts, then I'll this is not my show. Speak easy. Yeah, you.
My
Whatever you want to do. You just,
I thought it was the
listen off
debate.
global facts. Totally
Yeah.
cool. I mean, geography is great. We should learn about different facts about the world. But I thought we were here to talk about a form of government.
My personal position in regards to globalism is that I'm not
Yay
in
or nay?
favor or against. What I'm saying is that naturally we have gone into a
You
global
can't just be a fence
corporation.
sitter here.
I am
You can't be a
against.
fence
I am
sitter.
against, or I criticize the ideas of vigilante as a one.
Get this
world
man a
government.
beanie.
But globalism as such is something that has naturally happened not only in the last 250 years, but in the last 80. So at
What?
the end, my position as an individual is that I understand the necessities of.
I don't think you
globalism
understand
as
it.
corporation, as a mutual corporation between countries of equal stature.
So are you trying to say
Oh.
that there's a globalist nation right now? Is that what I'm trying to? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Pretty much a globalist.
All right,
hegemonic
great.
US.
We've got that point. Does anybody have a
I
reaction
said
to
that 3
that?
times.
I
Rich,
have a
said
big
that.
reaction,
I-
and
I-
that is
I would love to hear from CT and Tomahawk.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll mute
I
myself.
personally,
Well, hold
I
on.
think there's-
Just
think
one
there's
thing, because
one
I'm trying to
level- I
find
think
I'm trying to find evidence for this number. That you're
try
saying.
a whole bunch of
Absolutely
countries of equal standing, even though the United States of America is the most powerful country in the world, and it is practically what everyone else's actions are dictated around, depending on who's actually the president of that particular set of 4 years. Yeah, everyone is in equal standing with everyone else when everybody looks to the United States to see whether or not they can either act a fool or whether they have to stay in line in case of certain actions by a certain country. Yeah, everybody is definitely
What I say is, fuck that.
of equal
Self-perceived
standing in the world.
Self-importance
there's a
is
key-
bullshit. Learn to live with the rest of the world and stop your bullshit arrogance. That's what I say to the United States.
Why?
We're not
Why?
arrogant.
Why?
Why?
Why should we
stop
stop our
us?
arrogance?
What?
Why? Because
gonna
you got
stop
blood
us?
on your hands. You gotta admit it. You fucked up.
And you don't?
fucked up the world.
How?
War on
Can I
drugs.
ask you, Dad? Are you religious, man?
Oh no, I'm a full-blown atheist in every sense of the word.
Okay.
See, this is why I don't blame you guys when you think atheist and you think stupid, bad, otherwise. We're not all like that. I promise you. I promise.
Yeah.
I think there's a
I really
And
want
you're
to
the
know.
arbiter of
I know.
atheism, so you're
I'm muted.
you're-
That's
word.
it. Always
about-
has to happen once on the Speakeasy Show. I always have to
I
talk
think-
on mute at least once. Else it won't be a Speakeasy Show.
I think there's a key word
let me just
about- I think
let me
there's
just
a
read
key
a
word
couple
about
super chats
globalism.
here.
I think there's a key word about
Hold up,
global-
CT. One sec,
Oh,
CT.
sorry.
Let me just read a couple super chats here that I didn't get to read out loud.
Whatever
We got the let's get the support rolling for a great debate platform and world-class chat. Thank you, Bloody Clarence. We got don't be a person of poor spirit. Like and subscribe today. Another one from Clarence. Thank you very much. Or LD. I'm always going to call you this name now when I read it because if you liked Rob's arguments, go to his channel and sub up. Yes, that is true. And if you liked Vigilante's ability to lose a debate gracefully, go sub up to him as well. Hey, I think that again, I think it was a great fucking debate either way. Agree or disagree, both sides completely good faith. So yes, go sub up to both of them. Verna Desire said goal. All right. We had this one earlier, but again, thank you. Goal take 2 for Verna Desire. Hit the goal chat. Easy deserves the support from Culpercast. Thank you, Culpercast. We got a big 50 from Wattweiler. Please stop this Dan guy. At least a 10-minute timeout. So we don't do mutes and timeouts and that stuff on the after debate panels. We do that on Verbal Combat. If you're here on Friday nights, you can lots of different moves you can do. Put 1v1s, mutes, change names, all of that. So make sure you're here for Friday nights. You'll have lots of fun. And then coming in the chain here with Blake, he says, chat like the video.
Oh, he did
$8
$8
for
for that.
explanations.
Oh,
So
$10. There you go.
Sorry, 3 more quick. $2 from Culpercast again. Hit that like, subscriber, and give some super chats. True. And if you want more super chat for the chat. And then this was the last one that came in. He wants half globalism. You know the thing we already have that is detrimental to any culture. Maybe he's heard of it. It's called the EU.
How is the EU detrimental to any?
Hold on.
I would love for him to give me the basis. What are his studies?
Can I?
You know,
it's pretty
Well,
simple.
CT, it sounds like CT
Look at
maybe
Europe right
maybe
now. That's a great.
CT. What do you think?
What you got, CT?
I'm not
What
saying
you
it's
got?
Let's let
great or bad.
CT give what he
Just asking.
thinks.
So
CT, what you got?
I so much has been said, but I think no one's talking about the fact that we are already on a timeline to hit a globalistic government, and there is already powers in place like the free trade organizations, like the WEF, the World Economic Forum, all the Alex Jones that they're trying to take over the world type speak. That's all happening, and we're talking in hypotheticals, like it's not already happening. So I guess my question is, and it's one word that hasn't really been brought up yet, is the fact that we aren't a democracy, we're not communism, we're not socialism, we are a global oligarchy. We are ran by these global hedge funds and oligarch powers that have a lot of fucking control because they have so much wealth under management.
In the background, by the way.
What's in
and are these oligarchs? What nationality are these oligarchs?
Dude, they're
Doesn't
all
matter.
nationalities.
It doesn't
No one's
matter.
talking about Venezuela right now, bro. Your country's fine.
Oh my second home. I'm Costa Rican. I'm half Costa Rican, half Venezuelan. But Venezuela is shit right now.
Yeah.
So-
we fucked up with Maduro and Chavez. but
Yeah.
that's
So
another
why
story.
do you want
Speaking-
our amazing country of America to be part of that? Or why should I want my amazing country to be part of that?
Let me put it this way.
America's not one country, it's 33 nations.
Dan, do you think if a global government takes over,
Yeah,
do you think
fuck me, right?
Venezuela is safe?
Can you please rephrase or repeat? I did not hear you.
If a global government takes over, do you think Venezuela is the country we're gonna bail out?
I do not advocate for that.
No, we're gonna fucking obliterate it.
Yeah.
We want that oil, man. We can do something better with that oil, bro. We can refine that oil.
Well, guys, hold on.
I think
second.
Indian Jesus had something to add in here quick, and then also we haven't heard much from Culper, Teriak, and Rottweiler's up here too. So if you guys want to chime in,
Yeah, and I was just asking, like, okay, maybe even if you can make the argument that it would be good for the American government, why should I, as an American citizen, you're talking about how your country is in shit, why should I want to be a part of that? I'm glad that I'm in the good country, and there's other countries that aren't as good.
Good, technically good. I mean,
yes, that is good, but globalism would change that. So why should I want that?
Look, the problem here is
you should want that because. Please just answer one of my questions, brother. Please, just one. Why should I want that?
Why should the world care about your...
No, why should I want my country that I think is doing pretty damn well? We got some issues, but we're doing pretty damn good. Why should I want my country to be governed by the same entity that your country that you just said is in the shitter? Why should I, me personally, why should I get on board and be like, Dan, you know what? You're right.
Again, you're confusing the thing, Jesus.
I'm not confusing anything. You're confusing everything. Why should I agree with what you are saying?
Can you still man my position?
Not really. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're talking about these things. That's why I'm asking these questions, because I'm trying to figure out what the fuck it is that you're trying to say. Why you said your country no good, my country good. Why should I want to change that?
What have you not understood of what I said?
All of it. Why should I want to change that, brother? Please.
No. The thing is, like, he doesn't want to change it. He's basically advocating for what we have now in just an advanced form.
Look, you have not been hearing me. You're
but no.
And you came here. I admit that. I have not been able to follow you. I completely admit that. I have not been able to follow you.
Okay, so can you ask me? I'm going to pretend that you asked me what is my position. What do I stand for?
Sure.
Okay.
He stands for good things. Weren't you following it earlier? He just listed all the generic and good things that you can think of.
On the chat, I said it multiple times, but again, I stand for self-determination, sovereignty, the constitutional republics. I stand for independence. I stand for.
Wait, hold on. Just one question. So, if a country decides that they do not want to be a constitutional republic, do you think that somebody should go in and force them to be a constitutional republic?
No, you said
free. That's what globalism is, though.
Well, hold on. The reason I'm asking you is because you said you support the constitutional republics. So does that mean you don't support countries that aren't constitutional republics? Do you just really hate Great Britain because they're not a constitutional republic?
Great Britain is a monarchy. It's a constitutional monarchy.
And then
they implemented their ways of doing things. Look,
do you support Great Britain having their own ways of doing things which are distinct from a constitutional republic? Because you said that you support the constitutional republics. That implies that you do not support countries which do not implement that system of government. The question I'm asking you now is, do you support Great Britain operating?
You're concluding that
that is not a false dichotomy. That's a true dichotomy. No, it's a true dichotomy. I can prove it's a true dichotomy.
If I'm the third option. Okay, Dan, what's the third option? If it's a false dichotomy, what's the third option?
Let's talk about Ireland. Let's talk about Ireland. If we want to
hold on. CT, hold on. Dan just said it was a false dichotomy.
I am curious too. What's the third option? Yeah.
And then that's a false dichotomy because his only conclusion is that if I stand by constitutional republics, then therefore I must not stand for those who are not constitutional republics. I never said
the third option was
that's his assumption. The third option is
so hold on. I will explain why it's a true dichotomy. I
Let him
really want
answer.
to explain what this is a
Hey,
true
Adam,
dichotomy.
maybe you're wrong. Let him answer what the third
This
option
is-
If it's
this
a,
is
if
a-
it's
this is a
Adam,
true
let him get off the.
Okay,
give us
Hold
the
up,
third
hold up,
option.
hold up, guys. Let him get off what he thinks the third option is, and then you
Okay.
can explain
The
why
third
you think he's wrong.
fundamental option is the respect for whatever they want to do. If that action they're doing does not mess with my area, then I'm fine with it. But if it starts fucking me up, then I have a right to say, hold on for a second. Shit is hitting the
Hold on
fan.
for minutes
And
now.
the only people that can make change internally would be their own people. If their own people,
Okay,
of
now
that area
that he
is
has
a
gone off the
non-constitutional
topic, can I explain
So
why
the
it's a
third
true
option
dichotomy?
was.
Okay, so
you
the
can see
statement
how that was a
so
red
the
herring
statement
and
I
a
was
false
responding
dichotomy.
to is he said that he supported constitutional republics. Now, it is a true dichotomy to say you either support constitutional republics or do not support constitutional republics. That is a true dichotomy. There
That's
is
a
no
false
third option here. You either do or you don't.
No, your thinking is so limited.
Okay, so
that
give
you're
us
not
the third
seeing it.
option, Dan. You
I
do or
already
you
told
don't, or
you
what's
the
the third
third
option? You
What's
made
the
the claim
third
to false
option?
dichotomy.
Again,
Yes,
the third
no,
or simple.
Simple.
Okay.
Respect. I just let it be. If they don't fuck with
What
me,
the-
I don't fuck with them.
Bro.
What are you saying, dog? What are you saying,
Hold
dog?
on. This
I
Like
is all.
so
anarchy,
mad if I was
kind of
speakeasy right
like,
now.
are you for like?
Can I
anarchism?
respond to that? Can I respond to that? So
Why
that
is that not
is
enough?
the second
Fine, back-
option.
back to back.
See what Dan just said is
Yeah,
he just
let
affirmed
Adam
the second
explain what he's
option.
saying. Yeah, I
What
know where
Dan
Adam's
just said
going.
is he affirmed the second option, which is not supporting. So he's still following into the fucking dichotomy because it is a
No.
dichotomy. He's
I
saying
don't-
let them be, as in don't support, as in be neutral. Neutrality is not support, so it's still a dichotomy. It's a true fucking dichotomy, man.
No, it's a false dichotomy.
Basic logic
neutrality
is
does not
simple.
mean
It's fucking simple.
intervention.
Can we try to navigate around Dan talking? Like, I think he's gotten a lot of time. I
Yeah,
think he's
seriously.
brought some great
I'm
ideas
just trying
here,
to give-
but we're not even talking about
I will make
globalism. Every time we
idea.
talk about something, he's
Yeah,
like, "No, that
it's
has something to do
not-
with globalism. That's something for vigilante." So, okay,
And-
let's talk about
But
globalism.
yeah,
then.
yeah, like
Yeah, and-
we
and-
haven't had
yeah, sure.
like
All right,
you know,
I'm stepping
Tomahawk
off.
hasn't-
I apologize if I took over this whole
No,
thing.
no, you're good. You're
Uh,
good. It's okay.
Vigilante,
If anything, I just need to speak
Gotta
up
think,
more.
there's
That's
not
You're
what
as
it
many
is.
forgiven, bro.
people on your
Yeah,
side of the argument.
look, this
so
is the-
that's what's gonna happen, right? Like when you're on the opposite side of most people on the panel, it tends that you're gonna get a lot of the questions, so you're gonna end up talking a lot. So that it happens. But like I'd say like Tomahawk, Culper, Teriak did talk when he first got up here, but Teriak still hasn't said got to get too much out, and then Rottweiler as well. So like if one of you guys want to like bring up maybe a question you have on this or a problem you have with it, or if you're for it, whatever.
Yeah, so like my main thing is that it's like this whole thing around globalism. When we were growing up, the evil villain in every single cartoon was the dude who wanted to take over the world. And now globalism is literally the mission is to take over the entire world. And people are literally like fanboying for it and all this kind of shit. It's crazy to me. So it's like in terms of in terms of my question to Vigilante, how do you differentiate between the taking over the world and then globalism being magically separate?
Great question.
Yeah, amazing question.
I mean, I guess they're not necessarily magically separate. I mean, it is effectively creating a world government that's, in a way, it is technically
it's taking over the world, but it's good. Like,
Ran
I
at
mean,
the Stimpy, baby.
Hold on, let him answer.
Well, I want to fit Vigilante here because it's really simple. Like, okay, I can take over Germany and be bad. I can also take over Germany and be good. As a matter of fact, I think both of those things happened in the past 100 years.
Yeah, the whole point would be to establish global democracy.
Do you mean like what America's been trying to do for the last like 100 years?
Regime change,
Most
more regime
cultures-
change.
Most
Gotta fight the
cultures
Reds.
Don't want
I just
saying-
gotta
look, listen,
interrupt real quick.
Me saying that was making a joke. I'm not saying it's a good thing that America does.
I'm
Okay.
just saying.
Just
gotta
let
fight
me
the
interrupt
Reds.
real quick. I just wanted, if you're hearing, that wasn't meaning you had to leave or anything. Just so you know, you can definitely come back or if you want to come back another time, more than welcome. Just so you know.
Yeah, I wanted to engage with them.
Keep your
Yeah,
flights short,
you
though.
didn't have
Definitely
to. You didn't have to
100%.
leave. So if you want to come back up, come back
Yeah.
up. That wasn't saying get the fuck out of here or nothing.
Yeah.
We like it, man.
We,
like it.
we enjoy
Come back.
you speaking. We just need your flights to be short, man.
Wait, one more thing. Sorry, there is one more thing. We're gonna have to. There's gonna be a short break, quick, because we hit the 300 dono goal.
Oh,
quite a
Hey,
while ago
congratulations!
now. So I said after we hit it, we would play the tomato music video.
Real quick, before you go to that, a special extra treat for my co-host 40.
Base
For the donation.
For every $300 you give Speakeasy, the dog gets another treat.
Hey, I do want to ask.
There you go. There you go.
Clearly, I knew it was a.
Y'all give me a super chat on my channel. Every super chat gets him one.
Hey, y'all can hear me well, right?
Yeah, go send super.
There's a shot collar.
Funnel
Yes, we
money.
can. Someone just said
Funnel money
hear
to
you.
India.
That was
Okay,
Copper.
yeah,
to
that was
spin
me.
off to
Yeah.
do like the dono
You're good,
goal
okay.
celebration. But I am just curious. On this panel, we've got nine people on here right now. Who's for globalism and who's against globalism?
Definitely against. Culper is against.
Culper against.
Well,
I'm against.
While you're all making sure if you're for it or against, I got to give the chat what I promised them.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's me, Sarah the Raging Tomato, back to moderate another debate show. But it's my rules, not yours. I say I'm neutral, I swear that I'm fair, but 5 seconds in, I'm already in there. Interrupting midpoint, taking the mic, pretending to host, but I'm ready to strike. They think I'm sweet, wear red for the cause, talking like I'm Trent, but it's feminist laws. Conservative cosplay, money in hand, I bake the bears just like I planned. Oh, Andrew built my little empire, now I'm acting like I'm higher. I say I'm just moderating, but baby, I'm debating. Oops, I'm biased again. Oops, I'm biased again. I cut in mid-sentence, stole the win. Oh, baby, oops, you thought I was fair, but I'm queen of the panel, verse beware. Oops, I play pro-life in the day, then argue pro-choice my own way. I'm not innocent. Oops, I'm biased again. I preach about truth, no drama, please. Then I send my trolls to your comment feed. If you disagree, I'll twist what you meant and smile on the stream like it's all innocent. My chat says, Sarah, you're keeping it real, but I just love the power I feel. I'll mute your mic, say, oops, tech delay, then talk for 5 whole minutes anyway. Oh, I swear I'm calm and civil, but chaos is my thrill. I don't need a fair discussion, just clips for my next thumbnails Russian. Oops, I'm biased again. Oops, I'm biased again. Pretend to host, then jump right in. Oh, baby, oops, I'm queen of the scene. The panel burst, drama machine. Oops, my stance always depends on who's trending, who offends. I'm not innocent. Oops, I'm biased again. Andrew, yeah, without you I'd still be streaming to 6 people and a bot. But look at me now, I'm moderating minds. Oh wait, I am the debate. Oops, I'm biased again. Oops, I'm biased again. You fell for my neutral friend. Oh baby, oops, I'm queen of the show. The raging tomato in full control. Oops, I play both sides for the trend. It's all content in the end. I'm not innocent. Oops, I'm biased again.
Literally heard that in my dreams like 2 nights ago.
It's too catchy. Way too catchy.
No, that's
Fell
great.
asleep with Speakeasy on. He invades your mind. He's like Cthulhu.
Yeah, that's it.
She's such a weird looking person, dude.
That's the whole plan. It's the MK Ultra of the Speakeasy show.
I know I'm not the only one. It's like the way she acts on camera is so unnatural and weird. It's just
Well,
so
that's all the
strange.
Botox.
And to think that I wanted to be on that panel after just
Damn.
coming across you guys for the recency of like a couple of months. It's been real fun watching all the debates and panels and whatnot. This is the first one I'm coming on just to see what I can do and sort of get into the space and whatnot. And I started with watching Andrew and then watching the Raging Tomato baits, and then this whole shtick happened, and now I'm here. So
most of us would not know her without those debates. I mean, that's
And yeah, if you want to get into debating, if you're not in the Discord yet, here I'll put the link in the back for you if you want, so that you can join.
Cool.
Can you hear me? I'm
Yeah,
saying mic check. Mic check. Can you hear me?
Hit
We hear you,
up
bro.
to get like a feel of your views. I'll send you a list that you can send me back with like which ones you agree with, and then I'll get you booked.
Yeah, no problem, bro.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
appreciate
kind of
it,
in the
man.
same boat as Sama. Just trying to get to the debating scene, trying to check things out, and figured I'd pop in and see how it's going.
Mostly wanted to do this. Because as of the recent election, I've just seeing all of the craziness has really gotten me to want to like speak my mind out on things.
Oh yeah, man.
And I was just like, bruh, all of the leftists and whatnot, and everybody just saying all of the crazy shit that's been going on. It's like, and then I just want to try and throw my hat in the ring. So this is the first step forward into all of that.
Oh yeah! Shout out to Speakeasy. Getting one guest is a fucking headache. Doing all of this has got to be. I don't even know.
Yeah,
He's got so many
I got 2 more locked in while we were doing this open panel. So,
dude, every time I open YouTube, I see like multiple debates lined up. It's like
November 4th. Let's go.
This is the
Indian Jesus has got one coming up with JS Urban Adventures. So, and we got another email debate coming up too.
Hell yeah!
I can say personally, I don't have my own channel, but I'm a big I'm a advocate for the Indian Jesus channel, and we always we always have these debates at the end of the stream. We always go to Discord and have like an open panel chat there.
Nice.
So that's kind of
Ain't got to worry about YouTube bullshit either.
In Indian.
Yeah, you get to be a little bit more open and speak the full amount of your view.
Indian, you said you were Red Dot, right? You're not,
Yeah. So I mean, my parents are actually from the Caribbean. Like my mom, I've got a couple of generations on my mom's side in Jamaica, a couple of generations on my dad's side in Trinidad and Tobago. But like ethnically, my dad's side is mostly Indian, and my mom's side is mostly Chinese with a little bit of Japanese.
You actually do look kind of Native American. That's why it's kind of confusing, to be honest with you.
Trust me, dude. We're all confused. He's an OG Indian. We'll put it like that.
I mean, you got that long straight hair. It makes you look Native American. I'm not gonna lie.
Oddly enough, bro, I'm 35. So when I was in high school, if I could have had this kind of hair and have the swoop, I don't know what happened. I tried to grow it out and it just went like that.
No, I have the same hair. Like my hair grows exact, and I have partial Native American. So that's
Can you do
that? My dad says I have some Native American in me, but I don't see how that would apply to me. I don't see it, but apparently I do have it, so that's cool.
No, I see it, bro. I see it.
You have the Indian budge.
I ain't sending my DNA into those DNA collections.
Hello, thank you. Very, very good.
Don't do
Not happening.
Hey, my dad who is the Indian side, you cannot bring up anything Indian, 7-Eleven, anything without him going, very, very. Like that. What do you do? Very, very good, very. Oh, hello, thank you. Come again.
Hey, they own like every gas station in my area, so
This is why it's useful to have like friends of certain races, so I can get away with hearing the jokes and I don't have to say them myself.
Yeah. That's a good spot to be in.
Kick your dog.
I'll say them anyway because I don't give a fuck.
Hey, you kind of It's funny. The I was talking about this recently, Adam. You just made me think of it again. It's off topic, but what do you guys think of this? Like recently, I've thought about the argument when someone says, "Oh, I'm not racist. I have a black friend," and like they actually do have a black friend. I actually think that's a good argument.
No, it is a
What
good
do you guys
argument.
think about that?
No, it is a good argument.
It's
Because-
I
This
disagree.
is
fits.
It's not a good.
All I'm
You
saying is
are-
that
Maybe a good.
fits.
It may be
It
a
fits.
good justification if it is the case. But just having a black friend doesn't make you not racist. But if you are actually cool with that, then I think it is.
I
you know,
kind of disagree. I
That's
kinda
why
disagree.
you call them tokens. That's why
Yeah.
they're called tokens.
But I kind of
Well, other
disagree.
people might do that, but if that's like really your friend, like say like you have like a best friend that is
Yes.
an opposite race of you, black, Chinese.
That's
opposite.
literally one of my childhood friends is like a redneck. So
Hell yeah.
Real, right? We can get into that, but
I just
what people classify as the race classes, right?
Yeah.
I think if your best friend, like if you're like straight white and your best friend is black, like I think that using that as an argument, I have a black best friend. I think that's actually like it's a legitimate like how could I be racist if my best
Yes.
friend is black? Right? Like,
I have an example. I've got counter. Yeah, easy. If your best friend is
Shit.
ye, then you're probably racist.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah, that's a
if
good
black
point.
friend is
That's a good
also
point.
racist, then that's what it is. Okay.
Well, it's sort of like the
I'll
you
ask
could
you all your opinion of it, but I always like to say I'm not racist, I'm prejudiced.
no, I'm
Well, I mean,
definitely
yeah.
racist at this
Well,
point.
the-
Like I've gotten
Eh.
to the point where I'm definitely racist. So
I mean, if you've ever worked, if you've
Clip
ever been
it,
a
guys.
server in a
All those
restaurant,
people that say black people can't be racist.
Yeah.
hey
Just-
hey
just-
hey
you've ever
hey
worked-
Tomahawk. Hey Tomahawk. Can you be my black friend?
maybe.
I do
would
kind of
have to-
agree.
No, you have to actually be friends, Adam. I'm saying
Yeah.
you're actually friends.
I do kind of agree with
I'm
Ethan.
Start
working
of a
on
great
it, man. I'm
relationship.
working on it. Like it's a process. I'm getting past step one.
All right.
He has to ask for. He has to get permission first. He has to work up to the card. That's what
Yeah,
it is. He has
And I
to
exactly.
work
do
up
kind
to
of
the
agree
card.
with Easy. Like, if you have a legitimate black, like, let's say you have a legitimate black friend, like, I'm sorry, racist means you actually hate black people in the sense that
Yeah.
you would never have a black friend. Why would you? That's like legitimate racism.
Well, like
We just-
on the topic of like the particular term racism, I would just disagree with that definition. Like
Well,
fundamentally,
it
in
depends
the
on how
modern
you
day,
define it, obviously.
yes, but
Yeah.
well, my claim is that if we're going by what I perceive people as meaning when they use the term, then it basically just defaults to having right-wing positions on racial
Yeah,
topics.
okay. Well, then,
And having any
definition-
right-wing position on a racial topic is racism by default.
Yeah,
So
and that's a bullshit
Jeez, now.
definition. So that definition doesn't fly with me.
What I
well
will
that
It just never tracks. Whenever you
that
put it to
that
scrutiny, it just-
definition is how it is used in the
No,
modern day.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. Yeah.
I have a question from
I
one of
was
my
raised on
chatters.
it, so I had to break out of that. So yeah.
Oh, what's that, Vigilante?
Do you guys consider your black friends one of the good ones?
No, they're all good ones until they do something wrong.
I consider all of my friends the good ones,
Yeah.
and all the people who are not my friends not the good ones.
I like how he
It
conjured
seems
off
like
on
a
his
very
chat.
racist
He's
thing.
like, I got a question, but it's from my chat.
It is from it's from my chat.
My black friend, my black friend would say I'm one of the good ones. So I don't know.
See, I do have a defense to that point. Like, I could have my best friend could be black, but you know what? I could hate brown people. So then, to that point, then you are racist, right?
By the definition of Adam.
What shade of brown?
Yeah, sure. That actually, yeah, that's a
One
good
shade
point.
lighter, darker. You know, it
Actually,
doesn't
no,
really matter, right?
I want you to be racist. One shade lighter than me, and anything darker is.
But
So
that's the
maybe I
point of
gotta
the-
clear
you
up.
know what I'm saying?
I gotta clear up the way I say it. So, like, if someone says you're racist towards Chinese people, but you have a Chinese best friend,
But you just say I have a
that's
friend of
defense.
color, and you
Yeah,
should be
but if he's Japanese,
covered. Right?
Well, I mean that isn't.
Because racism is just like it's an individual based action, right? It's
I would-
hatred towards a certain person or a certain race of a certain color. It's not always going to be towards one certain race.
And you
Yeah.
see, that's where the problem is. Like the definitions
Your
are
friends
so
are
out
right.
there; they're all over the place. Like, so we need to. You got to have a clarified
Hey,
definition.
To that super chat that's on the screen right there, to other black people, I would be Uncle Ruckus at this point. So, just saying.
I would say something that is funny, which I don't know.
So good.
And I have a legitimate, like a really good black friend that does say, "I am one of the good ones." He says that all the time. He's very conservative. So I don't know if that makes me racist because
When
I
we're-
agree with him.
No, absolutely not. It's just
Wait, what if it was the opposite? Like, what if I walked up to a group of black people and said, "Hey guys, don't worry about it. I'm one of the good ones." Like,
Yeah.
just
Hey guys, don't worry about it. I'm one of the bad ones.
I do have.
oh,
I do think it's funny. It's not our fault, but as far as these panel shows go, it does tend to lean towards one minority group and not the other. It's not like we're like keeping people out or anything, but there's an Indian Jesus Discord. We've got a couple black people, and we always, whenever a black topic comes up, we get them to be like,
Shout out to Trey.
Is this okay to talk about?
Yeah.
You try to get permission from the black people of the Discord.
The resident
to be like,
black
"Hey,
guy.
I mean,
Yo, can I ask a question?
you know, we're kind of being tongue in
can we
cheek.
talk about this, guys? Is this okay with you?
You
not
don't
gonna
you
get
don't
your
see
feelings hurt?
Tomahawk, but I'm
no,
looking
but-
at you every time this comes up. I'm looking
Yeah, we're
at
kind of
you.
being a little bit tongue in cheek, but like shout out to the you know, Trey and other but it really is two of them where we'll have these conversations, and like I am of the position that the biggest thing that is a detriment to Black Americans is the Black community TM, and it's a difficult conversation to have if there's no black people
Shit,
there.
hold up. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Just want to say thank you for the
Indeed.
raid, Rob. I just realized, I don't know if that was
Hell
just
yeah.
not in
Reflex.
here.
One
But
day I
thank
hope to call in
you
with,
so
hope-
much.
Hope to call in
Appreciate you,
to your show
legend.
as well, Rob.
And
W,
what we're
Rob.
talking about right now is I got a little bit off topic.
Just talking shit.
I was just saying, like, if you have a black friend and someone says you're racist towards black people, I think saying I have a black friend is actually a defense to it. And
Only if
that's
it's
what
authentic,
we're talking
though.
about now.
Only if it's authentic.
Fair,
I
but then you,
immediately looked at Tomahawk to make sure this was okay to talk about.
I'll give you that. Easy. I'll
What
give
most
you that.
people don't realize is my dad's black, so
I have a friend that also
I don't
says
feel
that.
no way. I've heard
Yeah.
everything my whole life. Like,
Believe
I
me.
can't be
So let's say
racist.
it's a
My
white guy,
family
then.
members are
I'll
black.
say I'll say that from personal experience in life, I have several friends that have given me every single token black excuse in the book. So, oh yeah, my dad's black. Oh yeah, I have a black friend. Oh yeah, I've heard it all, bro. It's funny each time. I'll just say that. It's funny each time.
So, do you ever take
But I'm being serious about the friend one. Obviously,
Here's- of
my
course,
dad
of course.
being black, I could still be racist.
Here's what I think.
But
Easy.
I'm asking for real. Like if my best friend, right, is black.
Yeah.
I
and-
think so. The
and I say
context.
that as a defense. Like, don't you think that actually kind of is?
If
a
it's
defense?
authentic, then
So,
sure.
Right.
Yeah, like,
so
you
so
actually have a
then,
black
so the
friend, then sure.
situation,
It
right,
would
is
be a
somebody is
very,
calling you racist that doesn't
Mhm.
know you, and you're saying, "Well, I'm not racist. My best friend is black."
But they're
Th-
saying you're
that-
racist towards black people.
Right.
Like, it's very
So-
specific.
So that's fair, but then the person calling you racist has the ability to then follow up and be like, "Oh, well, like, do you hang out with it? Is it just somebody you know or something?" Because if you just know some dude from high school that you haven't talked to for 10 years, you're like, "Oh yeah, I have a black friend." That's not the same thing as like
Just
your
hand me
boy.
your phone, man.
So
I
the
will
follow up
say-
matters.
I will say this, Indian Jesus. I'll say this. I'll ask this. It's like, do you think that anybody that's asking you that question, that's calling you a racist for that
Is
reason,
willing.
is really going to ask that question as a follow up?
No, but I mean, the question was put on the table. Is it a good argument?
I have seen
I think
arguments
yes.
go in
That's
very
a question
strange
for
directions.
that is a
actually wouldn't
question
surprise
for the
me at all.
rationally minded, and anybody that accuses you of racism is already going to be not that kind of person.
Well,
So
but-
them asking that follow-up question to, oh well, do you actually hang out with these people?
But-
Do you actually hang out with your black friend?
hold on.
And
You're not
someone in
gonna
chat-
get that.
Someone in chat just said that they're very entertaining, and I have to agree.
I have to add something. Is that-
They like
Who's they? Like
You know who they
multiple
are.
people?
I have to add something.
There are multiple.
Oh.
Hey, I'll have you know, there's more than one person who's entertaining.
I have to add something, which is what we're saying changes if they're actually saying like really racist shit. Because sometimes that could be the case where you don't automatically get off from being racist because you have a black friend. It kind of depends on what you're saying.
Know your
Well,
audience.
you
right?
can't
That's
drop a
what-
hard R
Yeah,
and
it's
then
your
say I
demeanor,
have a
yeah.
black friend. Like that's obvious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's context to all of this, sure.
Yeah.
Like there's certain conditionals that need to be met in order to make sure that the I have a black friend defense
Like,
actually
hey, you
goes through.
hard R. Oh, I have a black friend. I can say that.
No, not quite. Yeah.
I'm just gonna put this out there. I think it's weird if you're like, oh, I want to say the hard R. Can I say the like?
Yeah.
A little weird.
Again,
Getting to the N-word
I've had friends that have joked with me to ask whether or not I can give them the card because they hang out with me and other black people around. We're cool with them and whatnot.
Like, no,
They
because
joked
you've
around
asked
about
me.
that.
Yeah, if you have to ask, you don't have the card. That's just, yeah.
Oh,
And to be fair, my answer to that question, just as an aside, my answer to that question is
Six more guys.
I'm too white to give you that card, so I can't do that.
You don't have,
He's ran all out of the card.
You're
No,
one
I-
of us, bro.
can't just give
The
it
You
up.
gotta hit up Vistaprint and get some more cards.
There you go.
Apparently,
This
Jay
Vistaprint's
Dyer.
also-
Someone said he
card.
ordered his card, and his name's
My
Inward.
card off eBay.
No,
Ordered his
eBay.
card off eBay.
Oh,
All right,
man.
I need to go to bed soon. Any final questions before I leave?
Yeah, does anyone have any final questions for Vigilante before he has to get on to bed?
Yes.
I actually do. I'll let Indian Jesus go first, actually.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I think Dan kind of no shade to Dan, but I think kind of muddied the waters a little bit. And so I know I've asked you this before, and so I just want to kind of just get it all in one place. Either way you want to take it, what is so bad about the way that the world works with different countries and governments that we would want to move towards globalism, or what is the benefit that we would change from having sovereign countries to a one world government?
Yeah, so the way that we have the government's set up currently is separate. Still allows for lots of different types of injustices to happen, slavery, genocide, things like that. With like some of the things that we see going on today, not necessarily just Israel, Palestine, but you've also got the Russia-Ukraine issue. You've got children still working in fucking mines in Africa. And we would be able to curb those things and get rid of them eventually via a world government, whereas they're not likely going to be going away anytime soon, if ever, in the way that we currently have things set up, because primarily the people who do the things like slavery and do the things like child labor and underdeveloped countries are large corporations that are just doing it so they don't have to actually pay workers.
Fair enough. I would just say I think there's a strong argument to be made that all of those things, as I said earlier, would be exacerbaid. But thank you for being here.
You'd have to times it by
I would
8
like to
billion
touch
people.
on that as well.
So there's that.
I
And then
actually
I think Jay had something for you too. If you have time, Vigilante.
Yes.
I did. I had one question, but I'm actually more interested in the follow up to what Vigilante had said about, and this goes into like this is more or less going into meta ethics. Obviously, we understand that child labor is wrong, but in these countries that require child labor to be able to support their families, to live lives, enabling them to feed themselves, necessarily child labor is actually something that's prominently good for their families.
Yeah, so this kind of goes into the question that was asked to me via chat earlier that I didn't really respond to about the EU. So like the chatter had asked like how I could think this is a good thing with like the EU kind of failing right now. So like one of the big reasons why the EU is failing right now is because it hasn't really done anything to curb or assist countries that were already failing before the EU was created to actually get on their feet. The main example being Greece, which we all know Greece's economy is fucking shit right now because of years and years of being under military dictatorship. A big portion of what would need to be done is to actually rapidly industrialize countries like Africa to help stabilize the economies of countries like Greece and actually put effort towards fixing economic issues in order for people to not have to have their children go work in the fucking mines in order for their families to survive.
Where's the fiscal assistance to allow them to industrialize going to come from?
Well, it's not necessarily fiscal assistance, though, specifically on the issue of like child labor. We would really just have to do it the same way we got rid of it here, which is by forcing companies to pay people living wages.
Then that is fiscal, then, right? Because like the problem is in order to put and allocate money towards these countries that are underprivileged, we would necessarily have to take money away from other people.
Which leads to a command economy.
You'd be taking the money away from corporations. Yes, I'm not saying it's.
Corporations are owned by who? Corporations are owned by who and operated by who, and who do they pay? It's people. And innately, for a world government to work, you would also have to support communism.
What?
It's not quite true.
Well, I guess not
a free market global economy.
Right, but the thing is, we would have to support reallocation of wealth, right? That's more in line with what I'm.
You'd have to
the communism thing.
You would have to at minimum support democratic socialism. Yes.
Can I ask one thing before he leaves?
No.
Well, it's up to him, right? It's
Go for it.
So it seems like a lot of the points we've been pushing around, they all coincide with your inherent trust that the belief that the global system that we put in place is works for everyone. So I guess to simplify my question, do you actually trust that we could make a global government that does fuck over half the globe? But do you think you could
effectively, I will say I trust people. That's why I said I would want it to be a democracy.
Yeah, but we're not my government. Do you trust governments?
I mean, I trust some governments. I don't necessarily trust like the American government.
Okay, so
that's because of corruption.
Right now.
So that's
corruption is universal, but
so who do you think was in charge of this global government?
I mean, obviously politicians. Politicians aren't the problem, though. The problem, whenever it comes down to like not being able to trust governments, is when we allow corporations to influence the politicians.
Okay, but do you not think America is the biggest government in the world?
Certainly
mean,
isn't.
Or it's the most influential
Kind
government
of.
in the world.
It's the most influential right now.
So if tomorrow we were to make a global government, do you not think America and Israel would be at the backbone of it?
I wouldn't think so, actually. No.
It depends
on
on how it's
Vigilante's
set up,
system.
no.
On Vigilante's system, he already made it clear it would be India and China.
Well, the U.S. would also have a big portion of the vote because the U.S. is like the third biggest population. But
But
I thought
So-
it was Russia.
I wonder.
Well-
I wonder how Russia would
wrong?
react to globalist populists.
out of those
War.
if we're talking,
Well, that was already established, though, right? We were saying if we're going to go into globalism, then that is going to cause a world war, and that is okay because it'll be the last world war.
And then we'll
Theoretically.
just have civil wars.
so
There you go.
three superpowers just fight it out to see who gets to run the global government. What happens if America wins that? Because you just said that you don't trust America to be the global government.
well, I mean, that's why
Good point.
I've kind of established that I think this is something that needs to be done over time. Part of that is because I know the influence that America would have, and we have certain problems here in America that we need to fix beforehand. One of those major ones is something that I've already brought up earlier, which is Citizens United and allowing corporations to be considered people.
That's fair. No, I think that's a great point. I don't think we should allow corporations to be able to use super PACs to fund our political gambit to get people elected. That's completely fair. But do you think that any government can be trusted with that, with the type of power we're talking about with the global government? Like, even if we took money out of American politics, do you not think the super PACs would just go to India and China and do the exact same fucking thing?
No, because part of what we would need to do when establishing a global government is to put corruption laws in place initially to prevent that kind of stuff from happening.
Yeah, but that kind of
Just like Xi Jinping's anti-corruption reforms, once again, Vigilante supports the Chinese system.
But no, that's
I was gonna say it's like
no, that's
you have to go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, I need to formulate.
I was gonna say that's what corruption is. If you're saying we need to put laws in place to prevent corruption, corruption by definition is subverting laws.
Yeah, but as long as there are laws in place for it, those people can be prosecuted.
Are you sure?
I can just point to the fact that the United States currently has anti-insider trading laws that would, on paper, apply to like Congress people.
Yeah. You also have anti-pedophile laws that should apply to Congress people, but it fucking doesn't.
Yeah, so the U.S. does, to a degree, have anti-corruption laws. A great example of those actually being used properly happened relatively recently with that one Congress dude. I don't remember his name right now. That took the the one that took like a fuckload of gold bars from the Saudi government and then was forced to resign because of it. I don't remember if he ever went to jail or not, but he was at least forced to resign.
That's that one guy out of like 400.
Well, not many people are just taking direct bribes. Yeah, you got a lot of insider trading going on, which don't get me wrong, those people should be. I mean, we don't have any evidence of people taking a lot.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
Vigilante.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the problem is we don't have the evidence that it's happening. What the fucking gold?
So would you personally say that you're comfortable saying that because there's no evidence that there's no corruption?
Well, for the most part, like there doesn't need to be direct corruption in the United States because of
That's not the point though. The point though is you're trying to say, well, we don't have any evidence when CT is trying to bring up that corruption is inherent in power, government, all that stuff. And you say, well, we don't have any evidence of corruption. Yeah, we don't have any evidence of a lot of things.
What I'm saying is like we don't have very many examples of direct bribery like that. There is.
It doesn't mean it doesn't happen. That's the point I'm making.
No, he's giving an explanation. Look, Vigilante is giving an explanation for the reason why there isn't prosecutions on the same level.
Due to the way that their system is set up, they don't necessarily need to do direct bribery. because they could just donate to super PACs instead, and then also be able to donate infinite amounts of money. It's actually smarter for them to do it that way because it's a legal route and they could get away with it. And then they still could turn around and be like, oh, I donated this fuckload of money to your super PAC.
Yeah,
You're going to do this, this, and this for me.
Yeah, but Vigilante, the point of my question is that we've created laws that inherently let us donate to political campaigns of candidates. So it's not bribery. We just have super PACs that let us do it. I completely agree, but that's the point of the question, is that it's legalized bribery, and then you think a globalist system is going to fix this? I just don't.
No, I'm more so saying we need to fix those issues before we move into a globalist system.
So
I actually have a brief question that's correlated, but it's more for myself here. Do you believe in universal basic income in this globalist system?
Sorry about
that. Probably not initially, but like once we industrialize the rest of the world, yeah, probably.
Okay. Anyway, that's actually where I'm gonna head out, because I'm gonna leave you guys with that in mind for your future conversations here. All right, take it easy, guys.
Hey, you have a good night, man.
I think at the end of the day, I think the ideals that you're putting forth would be amazing if they were practical. I think that they're not practical, and hey, maybe I'm wrong. Geopolitics and foreign affairs is far from my wheelhouse, but conceptually, it does seem pretty impractical.
It could. The thing about all of these ideals is, yeah, they're ideals first and foremost, but the big thing that all of this has to tackle is human nature, and human nature is largely the biggest and most prominent problem with stuff like globalism, because you're essentially asking 8 billion people to all adhere to one, or to one state of being or one state of mind, and you're, by human nature, we don't want to do that. So trying to get 8 billion people to all adhere to one initiative essentially is next to impossible. You have to account for how to get past human nature in order to get everyone on the same page that, yeah, we need everybody to be part of this global organization, this global government, and everybody, submit themselves to this global hegemony to run the world, basically.
No, it's exactly. That's going to be my next point too.
So,
how do you answer for human nature in this globalist initiative?
If real quick, if I could just jump in.
It's not necessarily human nature. It's more so human conditioning, but because of the system that we're under, there are certain types of people that have that in their nature, aka narcissists and people with antisocial personality disorder. But a little off topic, I think those people should be permanently institutionalized anyways. I'm not kidding. I think we just fucking throw them in a... Yes, narcissists and people with antisocial personality disorder. Throw them in an asylum and keep them and just lock them in.
I mean, I can get like antisocial personality disorder, like in some extreme cases, but narcissists tend to be able to operate in society just fine. They just have like some...
You don't even know who
those are those people that are like the snakes of society. They are the actual like chameleons of society. You don't know that they're actually like problems until you actually start to interact with them. And usually by the time you find out that they're actually narcissists, you're already too far deep and you're way too within the trap to try to get out. Or the damage has already been done.
Yeah. Well, like some narcissists are bad people, that's true. But like this is like a thing where you're saying, oh well, I can put like
narcissists are
extreme cases. People. Like they aren't like universally bad people. As a matter of fact, I would wager to get, and I don't fucking stats on me, but I would wager to guess that most narcissists aren't these like evil manipulators who are like secretly wishing they could take over the entire
literally
world.
what narcissists are by definition. They're
Can I?
definitionally manipulative.
No,
They're
being a narcissist.
definitionally
No.
manipulative people.
There's a certain. There's a certain.
Wait.
Narcissism-
Vigilante, are you saying people who want to take over the world are narcissists?
No.
I would say yes, but
almost
narcissism
walked
is a process of how you think and how you relate to other people. So, sorry, I didn't see who said it, but the notion of because you are a narcissist, you're out here, trying to hurt people and other things is not the case. In the same way that we can talk about people who are schizophrenic. Yeah, we look in the movies and we see, oh, you're having all these different voices in your head, but there are people who are schizophrenic, and I hate doing this, but yes, I do have a degree in psychology. I know psychology is bullshit anyway, but
Soft
so
science.
it is the softest of sciences, but that doesn't mean that there aren't actual experiments and studies that have been done. And I get what you're saying, that if we,
I think,
and I would actually disagree with you and say that most world leaders are in fact narcissists, but it's not the case that because you're a narcissist, you're out there trying to manipulate people. It's about how you see other people and yourself.
When you're a leader, you have to have a certain degree of narcissism in order to be able to enforce your will onto the people that are under you. You got to get them to follow you somehow. If you don't follow yourself, how do you get other people to follow you?
It's
I think
important
one of
to
the things-
distinguish between like different things, like narcissism. Like being a narcissist is not the same as like thinking highly of yourself. Like
and having charisma.
Yeah, we're kind of conflating narcissistic personality disorder with having narcissistic traits. Those are two different things.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm saying both are fine.
I'm talking about people with narcissistic personality disorder, not people with narcissistic traits.
Yeah, I'm talking about both.
Yeah,
I'd kind of like to bring it back
for
to the
record,
point
I
that
think
Tom
both are
Hawk
fine.
made, but I think that's getting avoided here. So
That's-
how are you going to take, let's put this in layman's terms. How are you going to take a polar bear? Are you going to take a badger? You're going to take a lion. You're going to take every other vicious animal in the world. You're going to put them in one cage. And how do you think they're all going to get along in one society?
Yeah, so for the most part, I think a global government should be focused on economic issues.
How?
You could get to the economic issues after you solve the issue of you have a polar bear, you have a lion, you have a tiger, you have a badger, you have a wolverine, all in the one cage, and you're expecting them to get along with each other.
They're going to kill each other. How? How do
you keep them from killing each other and have everyone to be
just like Noah did on the ark?
Exactly. How you gonna know what
comes out? He can't.
Let's give him a direct example. Like, for example, let's say you get your wish, Vigilante, and you have this world government, but now all these Islamists are going to take over this and put Islam as like the world religion. How are you going to prevent
Sharia
that?
law for everybody. Sharia law for everyone.
That's coming, guys. And don't worry, the atheists will have
let him answer.
Go, Vigil.
Well, I mean, that's why I kind of said earlier, like one of the obstacles for doing this would be directly dealing with the Islamic extremist elements, and
religion isn't an obstacle.
How so?
How
do you deal with the Islamic extremist elements? Also, I hope the debate went well, Vigilante. I hope you didn't have any bad feelings or anything. It's good to see you again. I know you and I have had some rocky history, so
he stood his ground. He did all right.
He did good to me. Yeah.
He was well from what I heard.
As far as dealing with the Islamic element,
I just have one short question.
Hold up. Let him answer. CT, hold up.
Needs to answer first.
Yeah. So as far as like dealing with the Islamic element, not gonna lie, I would probably say with the extremists that we would have to effectively do what China did.
So can you be more
There we
specific?
go. Alhamdulillah, brothers.
It was a fucking joke.
Alhamdulillah.
I was making a joke. You're actually advocating for like Chinese policy as to weirder Muslims, like legit putting them in camps.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
So basically,
I'm not going to be wrong. I'm not going to lie. I don't think that was a bad. I don't think what they did was necessarily a bad thing. Re-educating extremists is the best way to do it.
Free education, true labor.
Define extremist. Who determines who's extreme?
Wow.
I would argue that wanting a one world government is
if you want
pretty
to kill-
extreme. Maybe we need to re-educate you.
That's
Yeah.
extreme globalism.
Yep,
I
that
would-
was my. Yep.
In
if
my
you want to
So this
kill
is-
people for your religious ideology, you are considered a religious extremist.
I can say
So you are then?
from what I've
Yeah.
heard,
What?
Is globalism your religion?
Well, what about?
Well, he
okay,
specified
so that,
with religious.
So
but he
if
has a
that can be
religious
said
belief
for
to
a
be
religious
that's-
ideology, what about a non-religious ideology? Say globalism.
There you go.
There you go. And like
Random.
America is like mostly Christian.
Well,
Would
hold
you
on,
re-educate us?
hold on, vigilante. You've made it quite clear that you're willing to go the distance in this case. You're saying you're fine with World War III as long as it ends in this system because this is a great system. So clearly, you're willing to kill people for your ideology here.
No, I've said that World War
He's willing
III
to
is
let people die.
already.
He's the-
World
Go
War
ahead,
III is already an inevitability. This would be something that we could possibly implement after to curb
So
future
after
World Wars
everybody's
from
gone,
happening.
because once World War III
Okay.
happens, you've got 5 of the biggest nations fighting each other, and they're going to drop nukes, and nobody's left.
this is kind of the question that I was.
Well, okay. Well, hold on. So now I'm.
Wrong
So now I think I'm getting a better grasp of the position. So you are not saying World War III ought happen. You're saying if World War III does happen, then we ought do this, right?
Yes. Otherwise, we should do it as more of an incrementalist policy.
Okay. Well,
so-
well, hold on. As a part of that incrementalist policy, should we kill Muslims who resist?
No, we would want to focus on. I would kind of say to kind of do like what the CIA has kind of already tried to do to an extent, just not in the way they've done it, and using propaganda to influence
I respect your
the
honesty.
Middle East.
I have a question actually.
Bring back USAID. Bring back USAID.
I just want to
PT,
real quick.
please.
I just want to let Vigilante know you don't have to feel obligated. I know you said you're getting tired and you want to go.
Yeah.
You don't have to feel obligated to keep answering questions if you don't want to.
Yeah, you could just say fuck all of us and
You
go
know,
home.
you've
go to bed.
you've fulfilled your obligation part in the
you,
beginning
fuck
with
you,
the debate.
you're cool.
All of this is totally up to you.
Yeah.
Just
You don't
want to let you
appreciate-
know that.
If you do want to answer questions though, I'll let CT go first and go after him if you don't mind. But if
You can no is an answer, and you can leave.
Yeah.
Just that.
No, it's fine.
Nobody's gonna call it a rage quit. Nobody's gonna call it a rage quit.
Unless you get really mad in the next 5 seconds.
What'd you say there, Vigilante?
I'll probably take a couple more questions and then go to bed.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, bro.
So I think
Nice.
CT was
Good
gonna
sport.
go
You're a good
first
sport.
here.
Yeah, CT, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll let
Thank
CT go.
you. I'll make my question short and sweet. So I personally do believe we're on the ramp to globalism right now. I think we're moving towards a globalistic power structure across all major world powers. And we still keep doing like coups, and the CIA still keeps fucking up all these smaller countries like Dan's Venezuela. That's a whole separate conversation. But do you think that's the right track? Or do you think your form of globalism looks different than the path we're already on?
I think the track that the EU is trying to push is realistically better than the track that the United States is wanting to push. Because we do have two separate tracks of globalism that are like kind of in the mix. We have the shit that the US.
Yeah. Can you define those?
Yeah, so you have the trade agreement track, like globalism through trade agreements that like the US is trying to do. And then you have like the actually instituting global democracy that Europe is starting to push through like the institution of the EU.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, but you also brought up the CIA earlier, saying that the CIA should do what they're doing. That's the United States.
No, he didn't
Or
say that.
Interpol. It was Interpol. He wanted the basically the globalist enforcement arm of the world would be something akin to what Interpol does.
And he did mention CIA at some point and kind of like.
Well, no, I was saying that, like, in order to solve the Muslim, like, Middle East issue, like, we would need to use
But,
the
I mean,
propaganda
Yeah, okay.
tactics of the CIA, just not in the, like, similar to what the CIA did, but less violent, obviously.
But you also agreed with what China did with the
like,
Uyghurs.
do you disagree or agree that the United States intentionally destabilized the Middle East to promote our own agenda?
I don't think it was to promote our own agenda, to be completely honest. I think they did it for corporate interests and for oil.
Okay.
Is that not our agenda?
I would say it was corporations' agenda.
Is that not what the United States is kind of backed by as corporation?
In some instances, like, we have had some instances where we fight for corporations' interests when we shouldn't. I guess you could say the Middle East was one of those examples. You've also got, like, the fucking banana republics and all that shit. Like, the CIA has done a lot of not great things.
Yeah, they sold
Okay.
cities in the 80s. That's what gave Bill Clinton his rise to power. I agree.
That's actually, well, whatever.
I mean, do you mind if I chime in here and like,
Yeah, go
because
ahead.
I know he needs it. In response to the Uyghur thing that you agreed with China, how they handled that. So like, 65% of whatever of America is Christian, and like, I think it's like 10 to 15% is like extreme Christian, like very far Christian. They want to implement Christian morals and values in the country. So would you do the same thing China did under your globalist ideology to the Christians in the United States? Like, is that something you would be willing to do?
I don't think it would be necessary unless there became a violent element.
Well, like I said, there's 10 to 15% of Christians who are very extreme that want to push Christian their worldview. That's
Yeah, but
10% is a large portion of people.
Yeah, but they're at least currently just trying to push it through lobbying, which is fine.
You
If
don't
wanna
see a problem
lobby
with
a political. If you want to just lobby a fucking political party, go for it.
So in a
not
globalist,
likely.
in your perspective, that's not a threat to globalism. You don't see a point in doing what China did with the Uyghurs.
No, whenever it comes down to like things like re-education, that would really only be necessary to curb a violent element.
Now, can I ask, what would if like, let's say Christians get tired of, secular socialist ideologies taken, and they decide to go violent to push Christian ethics onto the population, then you would see it necessary to re-educate them.
Yes, at that point, if violence became involved, then it would become necessary.
Okay. No, that was my questions. All right. Yeah, that's
Anyone
all I
else?
got, dude. That's all I got.
I'll ask you this, Vigilante. Okay, just as like a summary, kind of all-encompassing sort of ideological sort of
Is there some
question.
guy
Okay?
sleeping? Sorry.
Yeah, it sounds like
It certainly does sound like that.
Did
It
someone
sounds
fall
like somebody's
asleep?
Snoring.
It did
It's either
sound
that
like
or a bubbler.
I'm hearing something. I'm hearing
Rottweiler.
something that sounds like
Rottweiler,
somebody-
you awake?
Oh yeah, I'm good. Sorry,
Okay.
just running around the house.
Oh.
All right. So Vigilante,
Sorry, boys.
Vigilante, my
Hey, it wouldn't be the
all-encompassing
first
question
time.
for you.
People fall asleep up here all the time.
My all-encompassing
Just
question
grabbing a
for
new
you
beer.
is where in the world is your
Carmen San Diego.
your ideal representation of government? Is it China? Would that be the closest to what you would consider to be ideal with like an L, right?
Who's the prototype? Like, which country
Yeah.
today is the prototype or patient zero?
Yeah.
Yeah, so ideally speaking, government-wise, for me, would be like most of Europe. But if
The
I'm
EU?
being more specific, no, I'm more so referring to the like independent governments of Europe, where they're social democratic. Specifically, I prefer the Norwegian, the
The Nordic countries, yeah,
Scandinavian
sure.
model.
They're,
Yeah, the
they're
Scandinavian
very
model.
socialist, extremely socialist countries. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that makes
So
sense.
you want to
socialist,
one
but-
sec. So you want everybody to pay 50% tax?
I don't support a flat tax. No.
No, but like the
I
majority,
do-
well, the minimum you're paying in Scandinavia is 50% tax.
Yeah, but you also get a lot of. You don't have to pay for healthcare. You don't have to pay for education.
No. Wait a second. Technically, you are paying it for it. You're paying half your salary for it.
I mean, yeah, you're the tax, but the
Yeah.
the
So
difference
why?
is the taxes actually go back to you.
But here's the
versus
counter,
where-
Vigilante. Here's the counter. Why don't we just, rather than take the tax from the people and then spend their money, we just don't take the tax from the people and let them spend their money?
Because the point is redistribution of wealth.
Why? Why is that necessary?
Because without proper redistribution of wealth, it is borderline impossible for people to actually do what capitalists want them to do, and that's pull themselves up by their bootstraps.
Yeah, so by putting a 50% tax on people, that it'll be easier for them to pull themselves up by the bootstraps?
If you're actively taking,
Because one sec, Vigilante, you're the one who's saying you trust people. But your worldview is saying, I don't trust you to be able to spend this money yourself, so I'm going to give it to the government and let the government spend it.
that's your policy for getting the African countries to properly utilize their resources. That's what you're telling them to do under this globalist system. They can't handle it, so you tell them how to handle it. You got to handle it this way.
Whenever it comes to spending, my problem is less with an issue with poor people and more of an issue with rich people.
Yes, because this is the thing. You people, you don't care about the poor people. You just don't want there to be billionaires. And that's the issue with your whole movement. You hate people that are doing better than yourself. You don't give a fuck about the poor people. You just want to get rid of the billionaires. That's the issue with this whole fucking cause.
I mean, that
No,
just
because
isn't true.
we-
I know for a fact
we-
Vigilante cares about poor people. Sorry.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, so I mean, the whole point of social democracy is to take money away from the rich and redistribute it back to the poor. Not necessarily I mean, obviously there's the ways that you can do it like UBI, but for the most part, it's to actually let those tax dollars be used for things that actually help the poor.
So let me give you an example.
Like universal
right?
healthcare, like free college.
We have two dudes, right? One dude, he puts in 8 hours a week, goes to college, gets a degree, becomes CEO, massive business idea, all this kind of shit. Elon Musk, basically, right? And then we have another dude who literally doesn't pay attention to school, doesn't give a fuck about college, just spends all his life smoking weed and playing video games, all the shit. Why should the billionaire CEO give any money to the dude who wasted his life?
I mean, the doesn't necessarily have to. The whole reason why
Redistribution of wealth.
Hold on. The whole reason why we want the specific social programs that we do, things like universal healthcare, things like free college, is to allow for upward mobility. People that don't want to work, people that don't want to actually participate in society, they're not going to be able to survive even under a social
But you want to
democratic system.
redistribute the wealth of the billionaire, all the value that he gave to society, you want to redistribute that to the people who wasted their lives.
Hey, Vigilante, do you mind if I respond to this?
Go for it.
Hey, Teriak. Do you
Hey, Adam.
think that when we're talking about the military, do you think that poor people who don't contribute to the wealth of the nation, do you think that they shouldn't be protected by the military?
No, I'm saying they shouldn't be paying 50% tax.
Well, what I'm asking you is why should
Mhm.
a billionaire who contributes significantly more to the country, why should he be protected by the military?
I'm not saying they should.
Oh, okay. So I'm trying to get the position. Do you support or do you not support the United States military protecting all United States citizens?
I support that, yeah.
Irish.
Yeah, we can say Irish, yeah.
Okay. Well, so do you think that?
No, wait a minute now. Why does the American military got to support Irish citizens? What the fuck?
No,
he's saying the Irish military.
I mean Irish military.
Irish
supporting
military.
Irish
Okay.
citizens. I mean Irish.
I mean, we
Irish
protected
military
everybody
supporting Irish
else.
citizens.
I don't want to
But
protect
this
them
is-
leprechauns.
Fucking
But
list.
this is a very clear case of you explicitly supporting redistribution of wealth. Because
No.
you're saying that the Irish billionaires should support the military protection of the
No.
Irish people who are
This
on
is
the
a straw
dole.
man.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
the billionaires
So the
shouldn't
main-
be supporting.
Yeah, so the main contention,
the Irish military.
the main contention here is Vigilante was
Should
saying
the
50%
billionaires
tax.
support
I
the
want
Irish
the
military?
Scandinavian of 50% tax, and I was showing him how ludicrous it is that someone can waste their life and you still expect a billionaire to then pay for that. If you're talking about protection or duties of the government, that's a separate issue. Because I don't think the military requires 50% of the budget. In terms of police, military, and judiciary, that's all you need for the government.
So, well, the point I'm getting at here is you're actually perfectly fine with redistribution of wealth in some cases.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Okay, so should the billionaires pay for the protection of people on the dole who are Irish?
Because because they live in the country, they would have to do that because that's their own security. Correct?
Should billionaires?
Correct? Yes or
should
no, Adam?
billionaires-
Yes or no, Adam?
You didn't answer my question. With
Yes
a
or
yes
no?
You didn't answer mine with a yes or no. So I'm not going to ask you yours with a yes or no.
Okay.
I'm not answering yours
Continue
with a
to
yes
straw
or no
man
until
then.
you
Yeah,
answer
continue
mine
to
with
straw
a
man.
yes or
Yeah,
no.
go ahead.
So
Yeah.
this is the yes or no question. Should
Okay.
a billionaire pay for the military protection of somebody on the dole in Ireland?
Because they're protecting themselves, yes.
Pay for its own military.
Okay.
Because they're
so you
protecting
support
themselves, yes.
redistribution of wealth? in
No. No.
Yes. Yes.
No.
Yes.
How is it redistributing wealth? How is it redistributing wealth?
So the wealth.
It's not redistributing wealth, it's
Well,
protecting themselves.
do
And that's
you-
what you
do
won't
you-
that's
do you
what
want to
you
answer the
refuse to
question?
acknowledge
Do
here,
you want
Adam.
to answer
That's
the
what you
question?
refuse to acknowledge here.
Do you
Are
want
they
me to answer the
are they
question?
paying that to
You
protect
answer the
themselves?
question. I do not
Are
want
they
to be
doing that to
answer the
protect
question.
themselves? Yes or no, Adam? Yes or
You
no? I
answer
answered
the
your
question,
question.
Terry.
Yes or no, Adam? Yes or no, Adam?
You're not answering. You're not.
Yes or no? I answered. Yes or no, Adam?
Okay, so
Yes or no?
So the question you asked
what is
me-
wrong with you
Yes or
people?
no, Adam?
So the question you asked me
Yes
was
or no,
whether
Adam?
not it is redistribution.
Yes or no?
So as to whether or not it is redistribution,
Answer my question, Adam.
Keep going,
Why would you answer my
it is
question?
Don't let him run from the
redistribution,
question.
and I can
Why would you
explain
answer my question?
how it's redistribution.
Answer my question.
I just
Yes?
did.
Yes or no?
Did it?
Okay.
Yes or no?
Question that
Adam,
I'm
how about
answering
this?
that you
Give a
asked
yes
me
or no
was
first, and
whether
then
or
explain.
not it is redistribution for billionaires to pay for the military.
No, that's not the question
protection.
I asked. That's not the question I asked.
Well, that is a question you asked. That was the question you asked that I was trying to answer when you started like trying to bulldoze me. But I have a longer memory.
Bulldoze, you're
than-
straw manning
than
me. If
your
you're gonna straw man,
words.
then yeah, I'm gonna bulldoze.
Okay, so
Mhm.
what position did I strawman and how did I strawman it?
Yeah, so this whole the situation you've lined up where it's like, oh, technically because you're paying, the billionaire's paying for military, that means that he's redistributing wealth. That's not redistributing wealth. He's paying for that military for that protection of himself.
Wait, hold on. So I'm confused. So the military only protects taxpayers in Ireland? Does Ireland have this weird
The
system where
military protects the
military
country.
exclusively
The
protects-
military protects the country. Yes.
Okay, and so yes, it
And
only
because the
protects
billionaire, yeah,
taxpayers?
because the billionaire,
It
because the
exclusively
billionaire, yeah,
protects
because the
country
billionaire, yeah, let
pay
me explain.
for the
Because the
military.
billionaire is dependent on that country maintaining, rather than like losing a war or whatever the fuck. That's that's the dependency there. Whereas, for example, like education, like why should a billionaire be paying for someone else's education?
Terrier, this all
Well,
falls,
at
it
the moment
falls
I'm
under
trying to
the.
point out why this is redistributive in nature.
Yes, no, it's not, because the example you're giving is a system where everyone has to go into it. Like there's not an
Okay.
individual thing. This is a
Okay,
whole
okay,
collective
Teriak,
country.
okay,
yes.
Teriak,
So,
so
when we're
if-
talking about healthcare, that's individual.
So education.
So I don't
Let's
understand.
use your
what-
example, which is
one
education.
sec. Use the
let's
same
use your
example you're saying,
example.
but with healthcare.
So
use the
if
same
a-
exact
if-
yeah.
if
Use
a-
the
if a
same exact
billionaire-
logic, but with healthcare.
So if a well, you
Does
well,
the
you brought up
same example
education.
work with healthcare?
Well, the same exact example does work.
Does it work with healthcare, Adam?
No, it does. Because, and I'll
Okay.
explain how. Because the billionaire can
I'm joining the
also use the same healthcare system as
Yeah.
the poor person. They are capable of using it in the same way that they would get protection.
But
from
is
the
it dependent on
military.
it?
Therefore, it
dependent
is
on it?
not going to
Is
be.
it dependent?
Therefore, it is not going to be redistributed
Is it
by your
dependent?
standard, which you just laid out.
Is it dependent?
Is it dependent?
Yes.
It
Like, does
I
that
don't know.
billionaire
I don't
billionaire
know.
need the healthcare to be in place?
The billionaire doesn't need the military to be in place.
Exactly.
Because a billionaire
Yeah,
can leave.
and then what happens if the country gets overrun? What happens if the country gets overrun, Adam?
I already fucking told you.
Okay,
A
there's no country
billionaire
then.
is
So then how do they have a
billionaire
business?
is able to leave the
Exactly.
country
So
more
it is
easily than a
dependent.
poor person.
It is. Alhamdulillah. We finally got there.
What?
I would say the only flaw I saw in
I don't understand how. Well, hold on, Teriak. So I really want to
A
explain
country
why
is
Teriak just doesn't
dependent
fucking
on
get this
a
at all.
country is
So-
dependent on its military. A country is not dependent on its
shit.
healthcare or its education.
Hey, Teriak.
Real quick, I just noticed.
the
Hold up, guys. 1
billionaires-
second. Sorry, 1 sec. I just noticed Vigilante dropped. I don't know if he like lost connection or if he just
He probably
decided.
went to sleep.
But if he did just leave because he wanted to leave, Vigilante, big shout out to you, everyone. Go find his channel in the description.
Shout out.
Go sub up. My mods can share it too. And big thank you, Vigilante, for coming through tonight. You did well, and I'm looking forward to the next one we get you on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Cheers to Vigilante.
Very good faith.
Adam Dole, I think you'll
We have
find
a
that
Billy
Teriak's
Billy
a lot less
Billy
insufferable
Billy.
if you'll just fucking answer his questions. So.
Well, I have been answering his questions. He just doesn't. He just bulldozes past my questions.
I
So
have
I
a question.
insist. I insist if
think you
somebody's
guys are
going to
just
do
seeing
that,
things at a different
that I'm not going to
level.
answer theirs until they answer mine. So
Teriak,
They call me Mr. Bulldozer.
So
I will say, Adam, I was following with you
Teriactics.
that whole time. I was following with you the whole time, but I do disagree with you when you say that like you can be a millionaire without a military, because the only thing currently
nope. That's not what I was saying. I was saying
Okay,
the
so why do you-
billionaire
why do
is
you-
not reliant on the military
saying
of
he
any
just
given
bulldozed you,
nation
but
because
then
they
you
can.
I've got one question to
You're saying
blow
he
this
just
all out of
bulldozed.
the water, and that's simply for Teriak. What system does the billionaire pay into in order to have that military be there to protect them?
The government, but for the same way as like, for example, let's say if I'm a billionaire, but I have like
That's not the
beachfront
question.
property in Dubai, that property that I have, that investment I have, is reliant on the Dubai government or the Dubai military to protect that land. Correct?
And who funds the government in
yeah,
Dubai?
but
to
one
do
sec.
that?
But when you're talking
that's
about things
not
like
the question.
healthcare, my property is not dependent on healthcare in Dubai. Correct?
We're not
That's what I'm
talking
pointing out with Adam.
I don't see what that has to do with anything.
Okay.
That's not the question that's relevant. The question that's relevant.
Yeah, because
is-
you're trying to say like redistribution of wealth, which is like UBI and all that kind of shit. That's redistribution of wealth. It's like, no, it's not. It's a military. It's basically the country is dependent on it.
Okay, so CT, what is the relevant question?
So you are
the
making
reason-
you're making a completely meaningless distinction.
hold
You're
up, hold
saying
up.
redistributing wealth is not redistributing wealth if it's quote unquote necessary.
Okay.
All right,
No, a military is not redistribution of
one
wealth.
sec, guys. Let's CT get off what he was saying there.
He's gonna
Yeah,
get off.
I
No,
just think that they're
Don't get off, but you can say what you're saying.
Yeah.
we can we can talk about like what country you hold property in and like what assets you hold to make you a billionaire, millionaire, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's what currency you use to buy those assets. And the only backbone that we have of currency right now is whichever country has the strongest military. Where every country in the world uses fiat currency. There's no country that has an actual asset class that is based off hard assets. So when you say like the military doesn't matter, the only reason the United States has a currency that is based off of every other country is because we have the largest military in the world.
Yeah, but what I'm pointing towards, CT, is that redistribution of wealth is the transfer of income and assets from the wealthy to those with less, typically to reduce poverty and inequality. To say the military is redistribution of wealth is bad faith, Adam.
Somebody has to pay.
It's not
Somebody
bad
has
faith.
to pay.
It actually tracks perfectly.
It does not. How does that track? How is military redistribution of wealth? I don't understand.
There would be no.
It's not.
no currency.
So wealth in this case is the protection itself. This can obviously be
The
like
protection
equated
itself.
with,
So you mean not the currency, not the taxation, but the ability of the military to accomplish its goals.
Not being shot in the face is a form of wealth. It's actually like a precursor. So it is
I
it
mean,
is
I
it
guess.
is in and of itself wealth.
Yes. Is that really relevant to fiat currency?
Well, I'm
Yeah,
I'm
because
not
if
fucking
you're
talking
trying
about
to
fiat
base-
currency. I don't see what that.
Well,
has to
that's
do
what
with
we're
anything.
talking about. I thought.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the point I brought up. You're saying that a country without a military doesn't affect its wealth patterns. Is that not what you're trying to
No.
say?
That's not what I'm saying. What are you talking about?
I think CT was talking to Teriak. No. I tried.
I'm not.
I tried.
I'm just a little bit confused. Okay, so I agree with Teriak's assertion here that the military is not redistribution of wealth. Redistribution of wealth is taking money out of people's pockets in order to put it towards social programs such as healthcare, such as education. I completely fucking agree with that. To suggest that somehow a country is not inherently dependent upon its ability to maintain its sovereignty through military action when necessary is simply it's absolutely bad faith. Okay, that's the reality of the situation. That is a necessary thing to spend money on in order to maintain your sovereignty. Adam, do you accept that? Is that okay?
So the point I'm making here is he's not actually against redistribution of wealth, and I do
You
seriously
accept that
question.
bulldozing
and
past your
hold on,
questions. You
hold on.
didn't even bother to address mine.
Hold on,
You
hold on.
agree or you don't agree?
You have to wait for me to respond to the whole thing. I am perfectly fine with redistribution of wealth in many cases. One of them is the military. I'm perfectly fine with redistributing wealth to people who will give me wealth by preventing me from getting killed.
Do you not
which is what
understand
the
why that's a
military
non
does.
sequitur? I mean, it's not redistributing wealth. You're spending money on something you absolutely
What's the
need.
non
That's not
sequitur?
redistributing wealth.
It's a necessity spending. It's necessity spending rather than, I guess, voluntarily
Social spending, yeah.
Social spending, yeah.
A country on its own should be
So
able to pay for its
not
own
so
military.
not being overrun by another country is an aspect of social policy.
But the taxpayers shouldn't have to pay for that military. It should be the country itself that pays for the military.
What do you?
Wait, who the fuck pays for the country itself other than the taxpayer? I mean, where did that come from?
That was my question earlier: is who's paying for the military to be able to function so that it can
Taxpayers.
protect?
So what I'm saying is like every country has its own
billionaires who are paying
economic
for
growth
more.
and it has the economic benefits. The United States,
Okay,
you have oil, you have how many different things that you can bring in through that country. That should be paying for the military,
Which I guess is
not the citizens.
But what's the difference? Because if it didn't go to the military, do you think it should then
Yeah.
go to
So
the
when you're
citizens?
saying redistributing wealth, your goal is to get rid of the gap between the poor and the wealthy, right? That's what redistributing wealth is. So how the fuck is having a military automatically going to reduce the inequality between the poor and the wealth? That's why we're saying it's bad faith, Adam.
So this is actually just a disagreement between EOD and Teriak, because EOD is saying that redistribution of wealth includes literally any social program, and you're saying that it only applies if it's this very specific limited goal. And
What the definition is, Adam? What's the definition of redistribution of wealth? What's the definition?
I don't think we're in disagreement, Adam.
taking wealth
think
by
red herring.
force from one group and giving it to another group.
To do what? To do what?
Anything.
To reduce the poverty inequality.
That's not a necessary factor for wealth distribution. Wealth distribution is
Redistribution of wealth is okay. Let me read it out again. Redistribution of wealth is the transfer of income and assets from the wealthy to those with less, typically to reduce poverty and inequality.
Typically.
But the poor people are not getting that money.
What does Teriak? What does typically mean? Always? Yeah, exactly.
hold on.
So,
Where-
so,
Wait, so wait a second. You're taking out the word typically. So like the stated goal, yeah. So the stated goal. So the stated goal. Okay, so this.
distribution or redistribution.
Yes, with the goal is to reduce poverty.
Wealth.
The goal is to reduce poverty. Yeah, the goal is to reduce poverty.
It is for
One at a
reducing
time, bro.
poverty.
We can't hear what you guys are saying.
Yeah.
Typically, it is for reducing
yeah,
poverty.
so-
but
so,
that is
yeah.
not in. That's why the word typically is in there. Otherwise, they just
Yeah.
would have
So
not put typically.
yeah. Okay. It is achieved through
Okay, so we
social
now
policies
agree.
like progressive taxation, where higher earners pay a large percent of the income taxes, and social welfare programs.
Sometimes, yes.
The goal is to ensure a more equitable distribution of resources to provide a basic standard of living for everybody.
No.
Yes.
No. So if
You're
I
making
take,
that goal
so if I
Yes.
take $5
Yeah,
out of your
I'll share my
wallet,
screen. I'll share my screen. So
I
just
don't
so that
care.
everybody
So
everybody can see.
I get you're
Yeah.
reading the
Great.
definition.
So you're
if
just
I
saying
take-
no to the
if I take
definition.
$10 out of your wallet and give it to all of these people on the panel. Is that wealth distribution or not? Redistribution or not?
Yeah.
Exactly. Does it matter why I'm giving them the money?
Yes.
Typically it does.
Okay.
No, it does matter. It does matter because if you just took $10 from everyone in the panel, that would be robbery. That wouldn't be redistribution of wealth. The goal is to ensure a more equitable distribution of resources to provide a basic standard of living for everybody.
Well,
But
hold
to
on,
turn around and
hold on.
say,
That's
to turn around and say
Well,
that
hold
that's
on.
redistribution of wealth is
Teriak,
commie
Teriak.
propaganda.
No, that's not what he said. That's not what he
Just
said.
let me engage with this real quick. Just real quick. So Teriak. So two scenarios in your mind. One, we're engaging in progressive taxation because we want to because we want to reduce the difference in wealth between the rich and the poor. That's your definition of redistribution of wealth, right?
I'll
Like,
read the definition
specifically
again.
through-
What's your what's your
through-
definition, Adam? What's your definition?
No, so I'm trying to
Okay,
show
so
you what
you
your
won't answer
definition
questions, so I'm
sucks.
not going to answer your questions. Okay, I'm not going to answer your questions.
You
You're being bad faith.
so
You won't answer my questions, Adam. You won't, like, this is another time where you won't answer my questions.
Mine, asked me one, and then said because I refused, he won't answer mine.
I'm the one that gave the definition. What's your
What the fuck
definition,
is
Adam?
this?
He asked.
What's your
he asked
definition?
For clarification.
Someone in
That
chat
was your
said you
definition.
I asked you for clarification, and
We've
you
already
refused to
agreed on
give
the
it. What the
definition.
No,
fuck?
I'm asking you, what is your definition of redistribution of wealth?
This is a pivot. This is a fucking pivot.
How is it pivot?
You're pivot
Because you're
because you're
coping.
refusing to answer
Because
my
the
question.
contention is you're claiming
refusing
that
to
it's
answer my
redistribution of
question.
wealth, and I've
Ask
read
for
out the
clarification.
definition.
Yeah, and okay, read it again. Read it again.
Yeah,
Let's hear the word typically.
Okay, let's read.
Yeah.
Redistribution of wealth is the transfer of income and assets from the wealthy to those with less, typically to reduce the poverty and inequality.
Okay, let's Google
It is
it.
achieved. It is achieved through social policies like progressive taxation, where higher earners pay a larger percentage of their income in taxes, and the social welfare programs such as unemployment benefits and social security. The goal is to ensure a more equitable
reading or are you
distribution of
not-
resources
are you still
to
reading?
provide a basic standard of
Reading or
living
you
for
give me your
everybody.
opinion?
Okay, so
You
Terry,
realize
I'm reading this out. Yes, I'm reading this out. And to that I say, Adam, what is your definition?
All right, hold up, everyone talking at the same time. Remember,
Can
the
we get a
chat
definition?
can't hear you, right? That
We get a definition for
so
typically.
wait, just wait. So Teriak read off the definition, and then I think Adam was responding.
yes. So just answer this one question, and I'll answer literally
Nope.
anything you ask me.
Nope.
So
Nope.
so my question is this.
Nope.
Let's say you had a government that implemented every single one of those social policies, but internally in their minds, the only reason that they did it is because they just really like the social policies. They had no intent of reducing wealth inequality. The only reason they did it is because they just liked them for arbitrary reasons. Would it still be redistribution of wealth?
Oh yeah, that's right.
No.
That's
would
right.
not be.
Sorry,
Okay.
Nope.
I have to.
No, I'm not
I
answering
have
the question.
to- wait a minute.
So-
I have
so-
to
so this is why it's so
apologize.
fucking
I have
stupid.
to apologize to everyone on the panel and the chat, but this is King's and Williams' punishment for the chat not hitting the super chat goal earlier.
Never watched a factor, tried to rain on my parade, but you're just not a factor. Now I realize why Rolo had you shipped home. Must be hard living life with main character syndrome. Finds the definition, never watched a factor, tried to rain on my parade, but you're just not a factor. Now I realize why Rolo had you shipped home. Must be hard living life with main character syndrome. Let's talk about a goofy named Glum Lawrence. Wanna be an actor but don't have the head for it. Wanna be a bodybuilder, don't have the legs for it. How you trying to build a brand when your streams just stay boring? Claim to be a man but you're just a fucking goof. Leeching off of anyone in hopes to get a boost. We know you bought your subs, tell the fucking truth. Shitting on reactions but that's all you fucking do. The red pill got you twisted with the panel full of dorks. Say you don't debate but then you tried to with a dork. Thought you'd get some clout, you're lucky that it failed. Even dummies like the dorks would show you how you failed. Mine's the definition, never watched a bastard. Tried to rain on my parade, but you're just not a factor. Now I realize realize why Rolo had you shipped home. Must be hard living life with main character syndrome.
Glance the definition of a washed up actor. Tried to rain on my parade, but you're just not a factor. Now I realize why Rolo had you shipped home. Must be hard living life with main character syndrome. Why you talk so much shit but can't hit me back? Why you acting like a bitch when I spit some facts? Buying subs and jack ideas, you keep lying, G. You'll learn the worst, bet we're starting up this rivalry. You'll never reach a level, even come as close to high as me. Undercover deacon mask is something off entirely. Want some weirdo shit, go and asking how some minors be. Now we all about black and red, oh the fucking irony. He smiles in your faces, all he wanna do is lift you. Then check your shit and put your back, kinda like a bitch do. And Glenn, there's one more thing that I really gotta mention. You simple jack retarded fuck, go learn to read a sentence.
Glenn's the defendant of a washed up actor. Tried to rain on my parade, but you're just not a factor. Now I realize why Rolo had you shipped home. Must be hard living life with main character syndrome.
Glenn's the definition of a washed up actor. Tried to rain on my parade, but you're just not a factor. Now I realize why Rolo had you shipped home. Must be hard living life with main character syndrome.
Goofy ass bitch.
Goofy ass bitch.
No, that's really him.
Oh
He-
my goodness.
he
That
made
explains
video.
a
What
that
the
explains a
hell?
lot, are we not, man? That explains a lot. All right. All right.
So redistribution of wealth is just taking money from one place and putting it in another place. And
So, to be clear, the reason why I think that Teriak's definition fails is because it's entirely dependent on the intent. So if you do not have, so you can literally have like two countries with the exact same policy,
It's not dependent on
identical
intent.
policy, but if one group of people has a different mental state, it changes to not redistribution.
Okay, so here's I asked
Can I
Grok.
add something?
Yeah, so I asked Grok, does military fall under redistribution of wealth? And it says the military itself does not typically consider a direct mechanism for redistribution of wealth, as its primary functions are defense, security, and strategic operations.
Well, there we
You're wrong,
go.
Adam.
Debate over. You win. Oh,
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, well, I
That
mean,
was gonna
I
be
can,
my next question.
I can certainly manufacture prompts with Grok to the point where it agrees with everything I say.
Yeah,
Like,
I've given you a direct definition of Google, and now I've given you Grok as
Okay,
well.
go to typically.
So pick a point.
Go for
What's your definition, Adam?
Teriak, what is the
What?
definition?
No, one sec.
typically?
What's your
Teriak,
definition, Adam?
Teriak, what is your definition of
see?
typically? Just ignore me because you know that exactly what I'm saying is going to debunk exactly what you're trying to say.
Okay, show me one source. Show me one source that says military is redistributing
What
wealth.
the fuck typically means, brother? It's
Just give
not
me one source.
complicated.
Just give me
You are
source.
saying you are
Yeah, because you're what you're doing is you're trying to cling to one word and say, oh well, because it says typically, it doesn't mean all cases. Yes, typically does not mean all. Typically does not mean all. Yes, typically does not mean all. But I've given you another quote direct from Grok that says military is not redistributing wealth. So now it's on you to give your burden of proof because Adam won't give the definition. Where's your proof that military is redistributing wealth? Where's your proof? In Jesus. Yeah, where's your proof? Where's your proof? Just give me a link. Just give me a link or a definition. Just give me a definition that includes military.
You already gave it, bro. The military. I'm not talking about the military. I'm not Adam. I don't know. who
Okay.
you-
Yeah,
I'm
you're
not
trying to
you.
do that. Oh, it says typically.
Hey,
It says
come on,
typically.
Be me.
What?
Yeah, so where's your proof, sir?
I'm so lost.
Redistribution has nothing to do with the intent. If you take money from one place and
Okay,
put it in another place, that
Okay, so
is
where's your definition? Yeah,
redistribution.
provide your definition.
Or do you disagree?
Provide your link or definition
Agree
that
or
includes
disagree?
military.
Can you
Yeah.
understand the question?
So provide your source that includes military and redistribution of
Oh,
wealth.
so you're just like a little beta that can't fucking answer
Uh,
questions.
I'm just asking you a simple question. Where's your source? I provided multiple.
Of course, I'm talking
English
on mute.
language. It's my first language. I learned it in fourth
It's
grade.
English language. Trust me, bro. Okay.
You really want me to pull up the definition of typically? It's not hard.
No, give me a definition of redistribution of wealth that includes military.
In most cases, or usually.
See the way you won't. See the way you won't. Yeah, do the definition where it includes military for redistribution of wealth.
You keep strawmanning me as if I said anything
I'm
about
not
the military.
strawmanning you.
You are strawmanning.
I'm talking about the current topic, and you're trying to talk about typically. I agree. Typically does not mean all. I've said that multiple times.
You knew that I was right.
I'm not dodging. I'm asking you or Adam. I'm asking one sec. I'm asking you or Adam to give me the source where the claims that you are making is that redistribution of wealth includes military. So give me that source.
So
to
that
be
is a
fair,
strawman.
Teriak, your definition.
Okay, so you basically you're doing nothing now.
Because
Your
you
definition
got it
of
from
redistribution.
Adam.
EOD, go ahead.
your definition of the redistribution of wealth included the word typically. That's why fucking Indian Jesus is spurting out about this.
Yeah, and I already said typically does not mean all. I get that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure
Can I
what
ask
he's
something?
why he's even going
ask
back and forth at
something
this
to
Why
stage.
wouldn't you just say that then? Just be like, yeah, you're right.
I've said it multiple times. Scroll back,
Let's move on.
bro. Scroll back on the stream.
I agree. Tarek has
If you
conceded
scroll back on the
several
stream,
times
I've
already.
said,
Can I
I've
ask
said
something?
exactly.
So-
So you're arguing at nothing right now. Jesus, you're arguing at nothing. What's the topic?
Back.
Hold up,
Trying
hold
to get
up.
you to.
Oh, my mouth.
That sounds like you right now.
It's okay,
so
Terry.
Tarek is
Are you okay?
trying to get
Did
you
I
to
break
show
you?
how
Thomas,
military is redistribution of wealth. That's the contention.
Yes.
okay?
Can you show that, Jesus?
Can I ask?
No, because I don't.
No, then shut the fuck up.
Never claimed
Shut the
that.
fuck up.
Just because you're dodging my semantic point doesn't mean
I did
that
not
I'm
dodge it.
not
EOD literally said I've answered you
I'm
multiple
not
times
Adam.
this stage,
I am
but you
not
keep
Adam.
spurging.
I don't care
Okay,
what
go
Adam
ahead.
said.
Yeah, go
You
ahead.
proving Adam wrong has
Can
nothing
I
to do
ask
with
something?
me. You said
Can I
that
ask
Okay.
something? I'm genuinely
distribution
curious.
has an intent, and
Yes.
I no, the definition that you read out said typically. Can we agree that I was right?
Yes.
And we can move on to whatever bullshit you have.
I
with that.
never said that typically means all.
Why do you have to be so? What,
Exactly.
There's no,
So,
there's
EOD,
no
go
reason
ahead.
to be this petty. We should search for the essence of what the argument is and try to have an honest discussion, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it doesn't have to be a semantic thing. Can I ask one point of because you keep saying that the I guess the wealth when it comes to the military is a separate issue. A point that I want to bring up is World War II, when the Nazis stormed half of Europe and stole a bunch of gold and art and other figurines and things like that. And then when America and other European powers eventually defeated the Nazis, we took that back, and it didn't go back to its rightful owners. Most of it went to the Vatican or went to other national archives. Is that a distribution of wealth?
Quote unquote, by the way. It's not literal wealth.
Wait, who's the question to? Is it me?
Whoever was trying to make the point that the military does not control a distribution of wealth.
okay.
I mean, like
No,
my
no,
answer
no,
to
I-
that
That was
would-
never claimed.
Well, my answer to that would be yes, and I can give a basic definition if you still want it, Teriak.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say like I don't have like a specific source, but I would say it's through legal means taking wealth from one group of people and giving it to another group of people, through like a state actor.
Okay, so how does that differentiate between
Which could be
taxation?
illegal, right? Which
Taxation would be a form of that, yeah.
but
Okay, so all taxation, no matter what it is redistribution of wealth.
Yep.
Trivially.
Okay.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah, we got there.
Because I mean,
But
in that sense, when you're taxing
consider
someone,
the
you're
World War II
literally
stuff
taking
cheating.
their hard-earned money and giving it to something or someone else for a cause.
Yeah, no, Adam's a full blown commie. He supports the redistribution of wealth, all this shit. Yeah, he's full blown socialist.
Whoa.
Yep.
What are you
Tommy,
talking
get
about?
out of my house! No.
What are you fucking talking about?
You support redistribution of wealth.
No.
As do you.
Yeah. Yeah, because you changed the definition of it, so now everything is like anything government spending is that's redistribution of wealth.
I mean, I have a
Yep.
feeling.
Agreeing to
No.
the definition?
You've tied
So-
yourself. You've tied yourself to it now.
So I have a feeling that I didn't change the definition. I'm pretty confident if you give me like an hour, I can find like
Yeah, you
Mises-
gave such a broad
people from
definition
the
and then
fucking
said that
Mises
my definition was
Institute
wrong.
Who just agree with this definition, who would just point out that my definition is correct, according to like basic Austrian economic
No, your
theory.
definition is so broad that it includes everything. So then, if that's your definition, then yeah, technically everything's redistribution of wealth. then.
No, it doesn't. There are a lot of things it doesn't include. It
So
does not
if the government
include-
does any taxation,
it
that's
does not-
redistribution of wealth.
It does not include like a private individual paying for something, like independent from the state.
Yeah, but by your stated goal, any government that does taxation is redistribution of wealth. That's what you're saying. That's how crazy
Yes.
you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Why
Alhamdulillah.
is that
Yeah.
crazy? Yeah.
I mean,
so this is
Because it's so broad that it fits everything as redistribution of wealth. So when these crazy fucking lefties say we need redistribution of wealth, you say, yeah, well, we need redistribution of wealth. You agree with them?
no, but
I would agree
Yeah.
that some cases of wealth redistribution are justified and good. and in other cases are unjustified and bad.
Yeah, and I dispute your definition of redistribution of wealth, because if it basically is any taxation is redistribution of wealth.
Yeah, well, the
kinda
thing
is,
is,
though.
at least
It kinda
with
is.
my definition, we can observe a policy and determine merely by the fact of what the policy does whether or not it's redistribution or not. On your
If it involves any taxation, yeah, it's
on your
redistribution of wealth.
definition,
Yeah.
on your definition, we have to have some evidence of the implementer's mind state. We can't actually
Stay to
determine
go,
what,
yes. Yeah, because when you're putting forward a policy, you have to put forward a reason.
No, not always. And the
Not
reason,
always.
and the reason,
Oh,
and
okay.
the yes, actually, not always. You don't always have to put for a reason for a policy.
So there's no debate, there's no discussion, it just gets passed.
Not in all cases. Some
Not in all
there is
cases.
debate.
Okay, so we're going to exceptions rather than the rules.
Well,
what
exactly.
Okay,
This is what I'm saying. You're being as bad faith as possible right now.
Show proof that it is the majority of cases where there's like open debate where we can obviously read like intent.
It's not standard procedure to debate bills.
Bills maybe.
Okay.
But hold on.
Maybe.
No, actually,
What do you
no.
mean maybe?
Actually, no. I would say
Okay.
I would say probably not, because the majority of things which get put in bills that are passed today are never discussed publicly because they're massive fucking behemoths with all sorts of random shit thrown in, none of which is discussed. So I would say with the modern, at least the US system, I don't know how they do things in Ireland, but in the US system, a lot of the things that are implemented in bills are not debated. Because
There's
it's a
always
massive
there's
list
always
of
there's
shit.
always a debate before the bill gets passed. That's standard government procedure. But like I was
Are
saying,
you talking
in
about
terms
your
of the
government or our government?
So if a bill does 50 things and they only discuss one of those things, you think the bill has been debated?
no, what you're saying is there's no possible way to
So you
ascertain the
admit-
goal of why
you
they're putting
admit
that
on these
legislation through.
massive pork
There's-
bills, all
yeah.
of this fucking
So what
pork,
you're
we have
claiming
all this
is they're
fucking
able to
pork in
pass
the
shit
bill,
and
that
not
it
explain
is
why they're
not in
passing
fact
it.
the
That's what you're
case
saying, Adam.
that the whole thing has been debated.
Dude, stop. You
Yeah, and you're saying that like there's no way to ascertain what their goal is.
you don't
I
understand.
didn't
how-
fucking say that.
Yeah,
didn't
well, I
say
didn't
that.
say what you said. I said. So if you're going to do the same straw man shit, I'll do the same thing back to you.
How did I strawman you? Please tell me specifically how I strawman you.
This is crazy.
Your whole crux of your argument, the fact that military is separate to redistribution of wealth, and you're trying to tie it into it. You're trying to redefine redistribution of wealth so it basically
never
encompasses
said
everything.
You believed that. That's
Uh,
not just, I can't possibly be strawmanning you on that
no,
point
yeah, no,
because I
what-
never
yeah,
said
okay.
you believed that.
They are-
I'm arguing that that falls under your definition, but I
No,
never
you
said
no,
I thought you
you're
believed it.
You're taking the
just
stance
lying about my
just to have the
position.
argument to try and shoehorn in military into
No,
redistribution
that's
of
not what
wealth,
it
which
is.
is not what redistribution of wealth is or means
They
or
are-
implies.
Okay, really quick.
Ironically, I agree.
Just really quick. Okay, just really quick. All right. I'll bring you up to say this to you. Okay.
You're
I
gonna
find it
try to do
hilarious
that
that
shit.
a
You're
man
gonna try to big
who
time some
uses
motherfucker.
a
You need
avatar of a
tattoos and hair dye
clown,
to form a fucking
Well,
personality, and
yeah,
now you're
this
gonna
isn't
act
gonna
all
be
fun.
you talk over me though, Chippy. So that's not how it works, buddy. So
Yes,
as
as
I
a
was
matter of fact, it
saying,
is
as I was saying,
easy.
as I was saying, buddy.
Be an adult,
Yeah, you be an adult.
not
shut
a
up while I
child.
talk.
You came to me in my
Yeah,
DMs.
shut up while I talk.
I'll show it.
Yeah, I did go to you in your DMs. I'll admit it. What are you talking about? Just shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
for
you
2
came to my
seconds, you
DMs because one
clown.
of your little spies
Shut
sent you
the
a fucking
fuck up for
screenshot.
a
You
second,
paranoid
you
motherfucker.
clown.
You
Okay, well, I'm not doing the yelling back and forth, so you can wait in the back there, like the good little bitch you are. All right. Yes, I went to you in your DMs because someone sent me a screenshot of you in someone's chat saying, since Easy wants to try to make me look bad in front of people, have a little something. I have a little something to do soon. So I said, join the rest of the maggots, but I didn't say maggots. You can guess the word what I actually said. Join the rest of the maggots trying to make a name off me, you clown. That's what I said to you in the DMs, though, right? I didn't make it public because I'm not a drama queen like you are, you little fucking bitch that wants to make names and go make clip farms off of all of this shit, all of that, right? I'm not like you. The drama isn't what I want to do. You're a failed Adonis. You're a failed fucking clown. Your blood sugars have failed you at fucking life. Everything fails. You're talking about my tattoos to form a personality. Well, you had to draw a whole fucking clown to put on your avatar so you could come on the internet because you know you're too fucking ugly to put your face out there and gain any type of traction. All right? Do you have anything to say now? Or...
Oh, I got a lot to say, Easy.
Okay, so
the
go ahead.
Only reason
This is Sparta! Spartans! What is your profession?
Get the fuck out of here, you fucking pussy.
Let's
go back to your little fucking drama farm Panelverse goofy ass bitch. Shut the fuck up.
Quality.
Everybody, speak easy in the fucking chat. God damn, that's how
Hands
you.
up.
That's how you handle a clown.
That's how you handle the clowns, right? Yeah.
Forgot there was no alcohol in there.
Fantastic.
Anyway,
Yeah, so back to me and Adam. So the
Adam
military
and Terry.
doesn't typically fall
Yeah.
under the wealth redistribution because its primary purpose isn't to transfer income or resources between socioeconomic groups to reduce inequality.
I think by definition, taxes kind of fall
So-
into that category, though. Just playing devil's advocate, I don't really have a shoe in either one of these fights.
So-
But by definition, that is what taxes do.
right, but it's semantic obfuscation to act like because there is money here and it's over here, that even though technically, as the definition that we read, because it says typically that is redistributing wealth, the idea behind when we talk about wealth distribution, redistribution in a political context, we all know that we're not talking about that. So to try to shoehorn that in is just obfuscating and muddying the water.
But then I also brought up World War II, and no one had anything to say about that. That was one of the greatest wealth captures of all time. Is they seized half of Europe.
Okay, so go off on that.
Well, the German army went through and took over half of Europe, seized all the gold and all the artwork and all the other knickknacks, and then they lost. And all the things they seized didn't go back to the countries they seized it from. It usually
It
mostly
went to
back-
museums, mostly international museums and then international collections. Yeah.
Yeah, but do you think that is who owned it before? No. That was
I don't know.
redistribution of wealth.
I mean, imagine some of that
From a
probably found
mil-
its way back into the original hands if those people were still alive. I mean, I imagine a lot of those people died. A lot of people died in World War II, right?
Do you honestly not like do you realize how
I mean,
corrupt
I am
most
seriously
modern
trying.
are?
I am seriously trying to come at you in good faith, but I'm failing to draw the connection between Nazi Germany stealing a bunch of art and redistribution of wealth. I don't think that's the same thing.
Well, the reason I thought of it is because you are saying that the military is not a factor in in shifting wealth hands, but when the military steps in and takes over half the continent, then it kind of is.
All right. Well, in the case of Nazi Germany, I guess we can accept that was redistribution of wealth.
Okay.
Are there any other are there any other examples that you can point to, or?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Well, is that Adam saying that? Is that Adam? I think
No, it's me, EOD. Okay, I'm saying that. Okay, so at the end of the day, the point of the military is again to provide security for the sovereignty of the country. That is a necessary expense, and that's something every country has to spend money on. All of them, not just Nazi Germany, but Uganda, Paraguay, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran. Every fucking country in the world has to do that.
So
the reparations that
so
Germany
here's
had to pay from the World War, like that is a wealth redistribution. But like
Hey,
the military spending, that's not wealth redistribution.
Teriak, I have a question as to military spending specifically. So, on your definition, given
Sorry, 10th man, I didn't see you back there. My bad.
if there is a group of people in the Irish military who are attempting to promote people getting into the military because they are poor and giving them jobs explicitly because they are poor, and thus giving the money through pay from the military, would that be wealth redistribution by your standard?
There can be wealth redistribution policies in the military, but the military itself is not wealth redistribution.
Okay, so, but whether or not it is wealth redistribution is based entirely on the intent of the people.
Like you said, the goal there was to get more poor people into the army. That's wealth redistribution. That's a wealth redistribution policy, but the military itself is not wealth redistribution.
Okay, well, I would be very interested in you, like, showing a time in recent history where the vast majority of people in, like, any military aren't poor.
No, what you're specifically talking about is a policy to get more people to poor people to sign up, not the actual military existing.
Okay, well, what is a fucking case that you can point
Your
to
claim was that
what
just
is
the
a
military
case that you
itself.
can point
Well,
to
hang on a second,
where
Adam.
the majority
Your claim
of
itself
people
was
in
that just the military, and now you're saying, okay, if we put a wealth redistribution policy in the military, is that wealth redistribution? Yes, because you're putting a wealth redistribution policy inside the military. But the military itself, which was your original claim, is wealth redistribution.
What I'm talking about is modern
was
military.
wrong.
I've always been talking about the fucking modern militaries. I was using the example of the Irish military and the American military. What, did you
Yeah.
think I was talking about the Irish
Yeah.
military in the 18 fucking
No, you were talking about military as an abstract concept.
What do you remember?
And
what
now
examples I used?
you're trying to point
Do
to
you remember what
specific
examples I
redistribution
used,
policies
Terry?
within the military, which I don't agree with necessarily.
Do you remember
But
what?
that-
Do you
just because
remember what
yeah, okay,
examples
go
I
ahead,
used?
okay.
Do you remember what examples I used? I used to.
Your claim was the military was wealth redistribution.
Yes.
That
it is.
if I believe that a country should have a military, I believe in wealth redistribution.
So
and now what you've done, one sec, Adam. Now what you've done is you've said, okay, if we put a wealth redistribution policy in the military, is that wealth redistribution? Yes, no shit, because that's a wealth redistribution policy, and the only way we knew that is because you had to state why you were putting that policy in, and the goals of that policy. So we can ascertain why they're doing these things. But to your original claim, the military itself is not wealth redistribution. You can put wealth redistribution policies in the military. I agree with that, yeah.
Okay, can you point to a time? Can you point to a time in Irish history and like actually substantiate this where recruitment drives were not focused on like poor people? Because my claim is that practically through the entire history of every military ever, that's who they fucking targeted.
Yeah, so
with the exception of like weird offshoot cases in the Middle Ages where you had like noble knights, but that's not really a military. That's like a weird sort of system in the Middle Ages. But the point is to say
basically military.
Basically. But that's rare, and that's not what we have in the modern day with the modern day militaries.
Yeah.
Modern day militaries focus on recruitment for the poor. Right?
Okay. So the military doesn't typically fall under wealth redistribution because its primary purpose isn't to transfer income or resources between socioeconomic groups to reduce inequality.
But it does take resources to run, though, right?
Yes. We all agree that the military takes resources to run, but can we understand the point that Tarek is trying to get at? Is that this is the propagandist definition of what redistribution of wealth means. This is what the talking point means. This is when the left talks about redistributing wealth in general. Okay, like I'm talking about like politicians, not people on panels and shit. That's what they mean. They're talking about taking money away from people who have and giving it to people who have not. Yeah.
Which I guess
yes, and that is done in the modern day through the military, and it has.
So
been done through the
you just
military for hundreds
conceded
of
this
years.
whole fucking spurred out fucking debate right there, Adam. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I'm saying that those are examples of wealth redistribution. I never denied that those are examples of it.
And this is, I think, where this whole spurg out is deviating. We're talking about the idealistic one side portion of redistribution of wealth, which is the ideological fervor that we all disagree with, and then the general descriptive definition of redistribution and how that works in general, which is why the military keeps getting brought up. The military is a form of redistribution of wealth because you're basically having to take the general populace of everybody that lives in the country to fund and give resources to make sure that the military exists for the defense of that country, versus Teriak talking about the social program of redistribution of wealth to fight inequality. That's what we all in this panel hate. But Adam isn't wrong that there is a form of redistribution of wealth that takes
there's
place.
a cost to the military. There's a cost to the military. I'll agree.
Right,
with
there's
that.
a cost, and that's what we're talking. And that's the big difference of this whole Spurgout. In which case, everybody's just talking past each other, and this whole debate didn't even really need to happen because we're
so you mean the definition that I gave,
They're all
and then
on the same
separated the idea of the definition, and then the
Yeah.
topic that I was
You
trying to
made-
do half an hour ago. I was right. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank
yeah.
you guys. I need to take the dog out, especially with all of these treats. They gotta go somewhere.
And
But,
I gotta
thank
wake
you
up
guys
early
so
tomorrow,
very,
so
very
I gotta
much.
get off as well. So thank you for this first panel appearance and debate and whatnot. So thank you guys.
Hey man, get in the Discord
Tom,
and we'll get you set up for a debate soon. And we got one coming for you there, Indian Jesus, very soon. And hopefully we're gonna have lots more coming.
I
Hey
appreciate
man,
you
don't
guys.
forget about me.
Thank
I'm
you
on
so
that
much.
fucking list somewhere.
Take
I'm
care,
sure.
bro.
As well, you as well. I
Yes.
actually I was because everyone talks like, well, not everyone, but there was certain people over on a certain side talking like it was such a hard job that the potato had.
Hey,
We're
potato,
just
potato,
lining them
am I
all up.
But thank you guys. I really do appreciate it. Please do come and check out my channel, The Indian Jesus Official. I am live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. I know we all stream at the same time, but pick your favorite and do it whatever. But I really appreciate it, and I will definitely be back. And I believe we are scheduled for November 4th for a spicy conversation. Guys, thank you so very, very much. Once again, that is Marty, and I am Lutch, aka The Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, we are out of here. Peace.
Good night, guys.
Take it easy.
See you, dude.
And Tomahawk,
Hey.
you got a channel for people to find you at? Or anything?
I do have a channel, but it's inactive. I mainly just comment and whatnot. You see me in the chat and whatnot, but I
Well,
hope
that's okay.
I
You got
want
to get it started somehow.
Exactly,
That's
and
right.
you see it as my name right there, Tomahawk PWPT. Basically, I don't have anything, but it's a channel that is there, and I want to start actually doing some stuff on it. So I'll be. Doing
Hey
some
man,
stuff soon.
your base is fucking. It's been awesome meeting you tonight. So I'd love to talk to you again.
I've seen EOD. I've seen you on some panels as well, talking your shit, man. I'm glad to be same to you, Easy. Been
Appreciate it.
seeing you guys on the panels, and I get to actually talk with you guys on panels. I missed Rob. I didn't get to talk to him, but I saw him, and I was there at least to see him lead.
And it was
So
his
I
20,000 sub party tonight. So
Hey,
he
that's
had-
cool. So he brought me
did.
on as a way of celebrating his 20,000. Anyway,
Hell yeah.
thank you guys. I'm gonna take my leave. I gotta wake up early tomorrow, guys.
Yes,
thank you so
sir.
much.
Hey, you have a good night, man.
Take care. God
Thank you.
bless.
Mm-hmm.
God bless.
Good talking to you.
Good day, mate.
Good day. Who's this?
None of your business.
Man, that did.
Oh, you're not fucking Australian. Go fuck yourself, Tenth man. You're from fucking Los Angeles.
25K sub party coming soon. True.
Mm-hmm.
True.
We getting there. We gonna get there.
Andrew's
This has been a fucking blowout, man. I don't even know if you want to talk about this or not, Speakeasy, but the Sarah Tomato shit. Oof.
Oh yeah, it's oof is right. Oh shit, Rottweiler, did I not pull you back up? What an asshole I am.
That's okay. You're Canadian. We'll give you a pass.
True, we're all assholes.
Wait, Speakeasy's Canadian?
Yeah.
I think you said
Yes,
that
sir,
before.
I'm a dual citizen.
Oh, but you don't live in Canada.
Well, I live back and forth. I'm in Canada right now, and I'll be here
Okay.
for a while just because, like, I have kids here in Canada that I can't bring to America.
Oh, okay.
So for all my kids to be together, I bring my wife and kids that were in America to Canada so that I could have them all together.
Cheers to that. Kids first. Kids first before all, man.
That's for now. Eventually, I'll be able to bring them to the States with me.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, that is right. That's always everything I do here. That's what it's for. You know what I mean?
Fuck
Even
yeah.
the topics that I debate, like that's what it's for, right? Like I'm trying to plant seeds for the trees that I'll never get the fruit of, but my kids and their kids and their kids will.